Everybody, let's open the meeting. Will you please stand for the pledge of allegiance? Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, and welcome to the April 3rd, 2023 meeting of the Zoning Board of Appeals, or ZBA. First, let me introduce the members of the ZBA present here this evening. Myself, Chairman Alan Donnelly, Vice Chairman Carl Henger, our Secretary, Janet LaForgia, regular member, Commissioner Lisa Temple, regular member, Commissioner Naheed Kaiser, should be here shortly, so we're gonna say absent for right now. Commissioner Larry Rushmeyer, alternate Commissioner Larry Rushmeyer should be here, we hope. Commissioner Richard Briggs also should be here. We also have alternate Commissioner Elijah Hewling. Our zoning enforcement officer, Mr. Fran Lawley, is present. Our land use director, Ms. Podzer, who agreed to take the minutes of the meeting tonight. Thank you very much. And I believe that's it. The current agenda can be found here at the table or on the town website under board meetings. When we begin the public hearing, I will call each applicant one at a time. When I call the property address, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us about your appeal in detail. After, the secretary will read into the record any communication we received in favor or opposed to the application. The chair will then entertain questions of clarification from board members concerning the application. We will then hear from those who wish to speak in favor of the application, followed by those who are opposed. Following each side of the question, the applicant will be allowed to make concluding remarks. After we have gone through all the cases on the agenda tonight, we will close the public portion of the meeting and will deliberate an open executive session. You must have at least 4 affirmative votes to have your appeal granted. The final decision may be in the form of approved as submitted, approved with stipulations, or disapproved. All questions and comments must be directed through the chair. Please be assured that everyone will be given the opportunity to speak. However, the board is most interested in hearing factual information relative to the application, and in view of time constraints placed upon us, we ask your indulgence in not reiterating comments previously presented. You are welcome to stay until the end of the meeting or contact the land use office in the morning. Thank you very much. Okay. We have a forum presence, so I don't see them all tonight.
Well,
Yeah, we don't have, okay,
you don't need to see the fifth.
yeah. So Elijah, we're gonna seat you on all the cases unless somebody shows up this evening, okay? Thank you very much. All right, first thing on the agenda, review of the March 6, 2023 meetings. I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
So moved?
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just found a typo.
Okay, go
I
ahead.
mean, I don't know if that's something that's a big deal, just take, because under the discussion of proposed General Assembly, raise Bill 915
Okay.
with consideration. I think that's all that's all it is.
Anybody else find anything else?
Yes, under 49 Mountain View, public hearing 6A, in the last paragraph, was one of the, I guess, taken from something I said. Ms. Temple stated that there was no de minimis exception, and instead of unless, I would say, and that we aren't able to approve unless.
Okay.
Well, not instead of
All right.
inserted before, but.
I also found, why don't we just discuss them all, exactly what they are, and then we'll take one vote on it. I also found one tiny little thing. Is that it good for you?
That's all.
Okay. All right, on the case Z-23-387 Shirley Court, one thing was missing, and I thought that it was important because it was part of the hardship. So Chairman Donnelly opened a deliberation seeking comments, questions, commissioners. He pointed to the features of the property and created a hardship, especially the ledge, the position of the house, the driveway, the septic, and they also said the wetlands as well. So I'd like to have wetlands included in there because it was a hardship. Do you see anything? Okay,
That's it for me.
so why don't we just bundle them all and we'll make
Did you understand
make a motion to amend the minutes as discussed.
Yes,
I'll make that So who would you'd like to make a motion to amend the
Yes.
minutes as discussed?
Can I just clarify
Mhm.
the thing that I said, so that we get it right? Because I misspoke.
Sure.
So on the last paragraph, I think it's the third to last sentence of 6A, with me. Ms. Temple stated that there was no de minimis exception and that we aren't able to approve unless before hardship other than. Would you like me to,
If you could just mark that up, that would be so helpful.
Yeah.
This-
I can certainly do
That
that.
would be so helpful, because it's, I don't even have the minutes in front of me, so.
Okay,
Janet made a motion to amend the minutes as discussed. Would you like to second the motion?
I second it.
Okay. Okay. All those in favor to approve the minutes as amended as we discussed, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, next thing on the agenda is minutes of boards and commissions. I don't really have much discussion on that, maybe a little bit of a discussion, but that's towards the end of the meeting and something else, so I'm fine with that. Anybody else? All right, so let's move on to our first public hearing. 5 Obtuse Hill Road, Z-23, St. Joseph's Church, request to operate a for-profit school of dance in a portion of the former school building in an R60 zone. Would anybody like to come forward? Yes, sir, please state your name and.
Actually, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, there's some communication, you may want to read into the record first.
Okay,
You may want to, there's two that are in favor of the application.
Okay.
You just have to indicate who's in favor of it.
Yeah.
It's in
one
favor.
second, Deacon, I'm gonna let him speak first, then we're gonna read the communication. I'll have the secretary read all the communications in, if that's okay?
Yep.
That's what we have.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry,
Oh, that's perfectly okay.
Please state your name and address for the record, and tell us about your appeal in
It's
as plain language as
It's
possible, sir.
Deacon Lewis Howe, representing the St. Joseph Church at 5 Obtuse Hill.
Welcome to the zoning board of appeals of Brookfield.
Thank you very much. I've got a handout for everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It just came in. So just hold on.
Thank you, Deacon.
So I'd like to start with a little bit of history of St. Joseph's School. In 1892, Father Jeremiah Curtin bought land in Lower Brookfield on what is now known as Pocono Road. It was here that the first Catholic church in Brookfield was built. In 1952, the parish purchased property on the corner of Route 25 and Route 133. The house that existed on the property was used as a meeting place until 1956, when it was turned into a convent with the arrival of the Sisters of Charity of St. Louis. Over the next 2 years, the sisters provided religious education classes for the children of the parish and planned and prepared for the opening of the parish school. In 1958, St. Joseph's School opened its doors with 5 grades. Father James Dennis was the first principal, and sisters Claire and Pauline were part of the first teaching staff. The new church was located on the lower level of the school building and remained in that location for the next 30 years. Each year, an additional grade was added until we had grades 1 through 8 in the school. And then in 1984, a kindergarten class was established. The kindergarten was originally housed in the convent, but moved into the main school building when on April 28, 1991, the year of our Golden Jubilee, Bishop Edward Egan dedicated our new church. In 2004, St. Joseph's School proudly introduced its pre-K programs, making the school a pre-K through grade 8 school. The school was a fully accredited NEASC pre-K through grade 8 school. The change of the financial obligations that I'd like to discuss is the school remained open and taught approximately 190 students from many surrounding towns: New Milford, Danbury, Roxbury, Bethel, Newtown, New Fairfield, Sherman, and Bridgewater, to name a few, until June of 2020, when the school closed its doors after 62 years. St. Joseph's School's mission was to provide a loving environment where children were able to grow intellectually, socially, and spiritually. It was the goal to prepare our students for high school, college, and beyond. Our initial solution to cover the hardship burden was in the school year 2021, we were able to lease the school to the Danbury Public School System, where 161 kindergarten students came from 3 Danbury schools to allow them the social distancing the pandemic required. St. Joseph was still able to have students in the school and keep our mission statement alive. The hopes of keeping a full-time school vanished when Danbury decided to break its current lease and return to Danbury. At that point in August of 2022, the parish of St. Joseph Church became responsible for every aspect of the building, now empty. The financial burden of the building became apparent very early as winter approached and heat was needed to keep the building at a safe temperature. Our action plan established after Danbury School withdrawal. Plans to lease the school were made and realtors were commissioned to find a school or nonprofit to fill the school. Town Realty, Mickey Consalvo, created a brochure, which is in the package, to advertise the building and show all the positives the building could offer. He advertised in multiple sites, Crexi, Loper, CoStar, Cirque, Commercial, CT, etc. He was able to gain the interest of 2 businesses. The Speech Academy, a nonprofit that has 2 locations in Connecticut, Easton and Somerville. They were very interested and wanted to lease the entire school. Unfortunately, they were unsure if their business model would find success in Brookfield. We tried to talk them into taking a partial space in the building and see if their school grew. We had not heard back from them after more than a year of conversations. Tower Realty was also able to obtain a strong interest in a portion of the school by the Dance Academy, which has been located in Brookfield for the last 49 years and currently is located on Old Brookfield Road. They have an interest in a long-term relationship with the parish and feel the location would be an ideal fit for them. After researching them, the parish of St. Joseph feels the academy, though it is a for-profit, will still show a student presence in the school without causing a distraction to any neighbors around the building. There have only been 2 prospects in 2+ years of having the property actively listed for rent. Our current St. Joseph strategy for mission of the school. One is it is not the intention, nor will it ever be the intention, to lease to any business, non-for-profit or for-profit, that will change the mission of the school when it was established in 1958. It is not the intention of the parish to change the atmosphere of the neighborhood or present any disruption to those that share and live in the area of the school. The hours of operation of the Dance Academy will not disrupt or disturb anyone, and we've got all that listed. Though the business is for-profit, it operates as a school and not like any retail businesses. It caters to the needs of teaching students to dance in a variety of styles. It teaches discipline, respect, and dedication, those same cultural traits St. Joseph's School taught. It will not change the look of the building in any way. It will be located at the back of the building and operate in approximately 4,300 square feet of the lower section as shown on the floor plan. This area is the area that the church occupied until the new church was built in 1991. All parking and access to the Dance Academy will be from the rear of the lower level of the building. Currently in the building, we have leased 4 classrooms to the Regina Chile Academy, a classical homeschool hybrid, for 2 days a week between August and May. They have around 20 students and pay a nominal lease amount, as the school is very limited in funds available. There will be no structural changes to the outside of the building for the Dance Academy. The landscaping will remain the same. From the street, there will be no indication that anything has changed from its current use. under an unnecessary hardship, should we not be able to obtain this variance, the plan for the church to utilize the upper floor for events such as religious education, youth ministry, gathering space for parishioners, and parish ministries and meeting space will be impossible. The cost of maintaining the building in the areas of heat, electric, general upkeep, and maintenance will be impossible for the parish to continue. The building will become vacant and its use will become uncertain. There is no other use this building can suit. Other non-for-profit schools have had no interest in moving into the Brookfield area, and the building is not set up for any other use other than a school or church gathering business space. That's my initial presentation. I have some supplemental information on the Dance Academy. The Dance Academy has 185 students as of 12/15/22. They have been in business for 49 years in Brookfield. The owner of the studio has been with them for 29 years. Their general hours of operation are Monday through Friday, 3:30 to 9:30 p.m., Saturday, 8 a.m. to 4. They're closed on Sundays, they're closed on all major holidays, and a few various weeks during June and August, and they roughly follow the Brookfield Public School calendar. The number of kids or students in a particular hour is they average 20 to 25 children each hour. Number of events and type outside general hours of operation. Currently, all events and gatherings outside of regularly scheduled classes are held at off-site locations, such as Brookfield High School. So no planned changes to this practice. I did provide a floor plan of the building, which showed the exact buildings they would occupy. I also thought it would be interesting to give you some visual presentation as to see where the school entrance would be. And if you can see on the pictures, you're gonna notice that the school entrance is going to be in the very back of the school, in the lower parking lot. They're only going to use the lower parking lot level only. So I just gave a couple of different pictures of different aspects of the school. The one from the one from the front shows that from the street, there should be no visible signs that the school is even there. I did also include for your observation review is the brochure that Tower Realty put together to try to advertise this, and they did this 2 years ago. Which showed all of the same stuff, showed the classrooms. And basically what we're saying is that we've had 2.5 years with no luck in trying to get any non-for-profit schools or businesses into the building. And we don't see after 2.5 years having any further luck being able to do that. And this would be the closest that we could get to keeping the school as a school in the area. So,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Deacon. Okay, I'm gonna ask the secretary to read. This is all the correspondence?
Oh, this is just for one,
Okay.
so I think I'm just.
Yeah, some of them were pretty
Some
long.
of them, I think, still have to be more.
Well, why don't we read,
There were three pieces of correspondence.
3 pieces of
Yeah.
correspondence, yeah, some of them are pretty
Yeah,
long.
I know.
Why don't we
Some are
read
pretty
the
long.
name, address,
Okay, and,
creditor?
what about this one
where it goes.
from
That's the
the
original one?
priest, yeah. I mean, that's just saying that they submitted,
No, that's a hardship,
Okay,
no,
all right.
just those, and I
No,
believe it
there's
came
another
with,
one, yeah.
it came with one
Yeah.
originally.
okay, I'm sorry,
No,
a
no, it's
little
okay.
confused here.
The new ones, we're gonna have to
Are
put them into
we-
the record, so.
Am I,
Those are fine.
Those are already
reading
fine.
the ones that are in favor first? Or does it, this is the only one that I think is in
That's
opposition?
the only one in opposition?
Yes,
Read the support ones first.
okay.
The secretary.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is going to be in favor of them leasing to the dance studio, and it is from Greg Feeney, F-E-E-N-Y, dated March 21st, 2023, and he's writing to express my support for a proposed move by the Academy of Dance, ADA, to move from the current location at 336 Federal Road to the former St. Joseph School at 5 Obtuse Road. I realize that the proposed new location is zoned for rezoning, a not-for-profit use, but feel that the zoning board should consider rezoning in this instant based on the points below. Number 1 point, ADA has been a staple in Brookfield for over 49 years. Over that time, thousands of children have attended classes, formed lifetime friendships, and have contributed to the community in a positive way. ADA has performed at multiple charity events and have put on shows at local nursing homes and senior centers. Number 5, having had 4 children who all danced at ADA, I can say that they also learned valuable life lessons about hard work, discipline, and winning or losing gracefully, all while having a blast. Number 6, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The future location could once again become thriving building of learning instead of potentially long vacant eyesore. Many parents from neighboring towns have children that attend classes. Keeping ADA in Brookfield also keeps these parents and children coming to Brookfield sometimes 5 days per week. This in turn leads to revenue for many Brookfield-based businesses, as the parents will often shop or go out to eat while their children are dancing. The building really can be great for ADA, and it is a great example of repurposing and out-of-the-box thinking. I thank you for your time and hope you consider these points. Greg Feeney.
Madam Chair, may I interrupt? Do you have an
You
address
wish to
for
be
Mr.
recognized?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, yes.
You are recognized.
Yes, Madam Secretary, do you have an address for Mr. Feeney? Did he write his address down there?
I think it's right. Is it at the top?
No, I think he has a email.
Email address.
That'll be fine.
Can I give you the?
No, I think
I'll-
that'll be sufficient then, if he
Okay.
didn't say where he's from, that's,
Okay.
thank you.
The
You're
other one's
welcome.
long, if you want to.
Yeah,
go
the other
over
one,
it.
I think I'm just going to do, these are members of the Zoning Board of Appeals. This is by Aaron Cox, C-O-X. I'm not sure the date.
It's Newtown.
Yeah, I'm not sure the date. He also.
That's me if you want.
Oh, hi, Mr. Cox, okay.
You'll also
And
be
you
able-
have references, which is a nice thing, so we can look them up, that's, all
You'll
right,
also be able
and,
to get up and speak, sir.
yes, and he's from Newtown, Connecticut. He has 3 children who currently study dance at the Academy of Dance Arts in Brookfield and have been part of the ADA family for over 13 years and anticipate another decade going forward. I am writing to urge you to approve the variance allowing Academy of Dance Arts, a for-profit entity, to lease a portion of the former St. Joseph School at 5 Obtuse Hill Road, which is a non-profit residential zone. Mr. Cox, thank you so much. It's quite long, but
It's in favor.
it is in favor, and I thank you. And I believe we have an opposing.
That's short.
Please, just 1 minute, let me just look at this. Yes, okay, and we have an opposing, one opposing, which is very short. And this is from Carl D. Peterson at 149 Wisconsin Road in Brookfield, and it's dated February 27th, 2023. And he addresses it to the board. I am writing in opposition to this appeal. I believe that making such an exception to permit a for-profit business in the zone would set an undesirable precedent. If approved, others might seek to operate businesses in this zone and, if denied, could point to this exception and claim bias or favoritism. With respect, we ask that this application be denied. And that is Carl D. Peterson.
I believe that's all the correspondence?
Yes.
Okay. At this time, I'm gonna ask the members if they have any questions for the applicant.
My question is, the
You
hardship.
can sit, stand, however you want.
Okay.
Whatever you're more comfortable with, sir.
I grew up Catholic and going to dance school, so this is, of interest to me, this case, of course, it's in our community. But I'm curious to know more about the hardship. It seems very much a financial hardship.
Well, it's a financial hardship, but it's also a culture hardship for us. If the church's purpose is, for the school, has always been for the last 60 some odd years to teach children. To not be able to do that shows hardship on parishioners, pastor, the priest, the diocese, in so much as that we didn't have a choice but to close the school as a Catholic school. But we've always had the desire to continue it to be a building of learning, one that, especially a dance school, I mean, my granddaughters went to dance, and you learn discipline, and you learn respect, and you learn all the positive attributes of becoming a young person and growing into an adult. So part of the hardship is not to have that happen in the building. That would be very disappointing to the parish, and we see that as even bigger than the financial. The financial is a hardship, with the economy the way that it is, but even more so, we could find the money if we had to, but we want to continue to have children out on this, just being on the property, and just, people drive by and see kids, they think something good is happening, especially if it's in a positive atmosphere. And that's where really the parish is struggling with not being able to do that, and not being able to find a school to be able to continue to do that, since we can't continue our own Catholic school.
Thank you.
Anybody else have any questions?
I think I had one in a way, right? I'm sorry, Elijah.
Go ahead, Jim.
You could go, no, senior moment.
In the event that we are able to grant the variance, say in 6 months, someone comes along and says, now they wanna buy the building.
The building is not for sale.
Okay, this building's not for
It
sale.
is not for sale. No,
Okay.
the
And you-
diocese is not, the bishop will not allow us to sell the building.
Okay, so you can guarantee us that you're not
Yeah,
going
I
to sell the
can
building?
guarantee we're not gonna sell the building.
Deacon, the hardship, is that fall on the parishioners that basically?
The hardship falls on the entire parish. We have 1,400 families at St. Joseph's, which is about 4,000 people, which is about 25% of the population of Brookfield. So it's talked about a lot. When we lost the school, it went from a regular school setting to an academy model, which didn't work. And we tried for a number of years to change the model so that we could get kids into it, and with blended classrooms and different things, it just didn't work. So the entire parish got together and tried to support it, advertise, do everything we could to get more kids to come into it. And unfortunately, we just didn't succeed at it. And with that, we had to close the school permanently.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What would this, lease look like? How long would it be?
We're looking at a 5-year lease with, the option to renew. We're kind of hoping that the Dance Academy will stay with us for a long time so that we can, develop a very good relationship with the school so that they understand our mission and we can help them understand their mission and what they're supposed to do, and that, together we can just make it a good relationship and just keep kids coming through and doing their best.
And what would you say to the opponent who challenged that this could set a bad precedent, in the community? Has this ever, I don't think we've ever granted a zoning change like this, but I could,
Okay. Sure, please, this is Mr.
Wish to
Paul
be
Check.
Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Paul Checo, 29 Dorset Lane, owner of PC Studio Architecture out of Brewster, here representing St. Joseph's Church. For full disclosure, and don't hold this against me, I've been chairman of the Municipal Building Committee here in Brookfield for the last 20 years. So,
You have the floor, sir.
thank you, much appreciated. So to your question about setting precedent, one of the things when we do, and we come before zoning boards of appeals, is to set an appeal so restrictive that it cannot be duplicated. So here we have a prior non-for-profit school that has been closed by the Archdiocese. The only other school that's in this area would be Center School, which is soon to be closed down as well. However, that's a public school. This is a private not-for-profit. So the appeal would be to permit the use of a prior non-for-profit private school to have this use for a for-profit school or a dance academy for the instruction of students. It has to be so stringent that no other applicant can ever use that as a precedent. And that's why we thought that this would be a good use for this in coming forward, because it is so narrow and focused. It would be tough to replicate that. I don't know that we have many other schools. Christian Life Academy probably is the only other private school within Brookfield.
okay,
I have a question for Mr. Checo.
yeah,
Mr. Checo, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, and you know building and zoning probably better than I do, but why wouldn't it be more effective for the church to go and fill out the forms and the paperwork to say, hey, you know what, we wanna change, I don't know the best way to say it, but you know how you can get special exemptions? We wanna change the rule for special exemptions, or put in an application for that change and say, hey, can you make a special exemption for this particular thing?
What do you
for
mean by-
churches?
What do you mean by special exemption?
So, yeah, they have special exemptions, it's 3,
is it special permit?
I believe it's special exemptions, I'm gonna ask the land use director, isn't it? I don't know.
Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman, yes, the Land Use Director, Rochelle Hadza, for the record. Special permits and special exceptions are the same thing, they're identical according to the general statutes. As I believe I have said, and I went over this in detail prior, when the application came in, because there was some question about, which commission, zoning or zoning board of appeals, should first hear this case. Having gone over the history of the church in the files and also through the available history that is part of the church, I determined that the current use has always been a school. Indeed, it also had a church in it as part of it, but it has always been used as a school. It predates zoning laws, all of our regulations. When the zoning laws were written, I believe they were written specifically to include the school as a permitted use, in the residential districts. So there is no room for a special permit because the zoning regulations state specifically, as has been said, that schools are allowed by special permit so long as in the residential zone, so long as they're not for profit. You can also have schools in the zone by special permit for-profit schools, but only until the high school level. So it's a very minor change, a de minimis change that is being requested. Nonetheless, they can't, because it's against the zoning regulations, the zoning board, the zoning commission has no authority to issue a special permit.
Okay, I'm not talking about issuing it, I'm talking about filling out the form for a change to allow them to do that.
So, Mr. Chairman, if I understand you correctly, you're saying that they should seek a text amendment.
What I'm asking is that an option if they wanted to? Go in front of the zoning commission, fill out the paperwork and say, hey, we would like to do a change to the special permit to allow X, Y. whatever.
That would certainly be within their right, but I believe, right now they're before the zoning.
No, I understand that, that was just a
Right.
question I was
Thank you.
asking,
Yep.
because he kind of brought that up before. Thank you
Well,
very
and-
much.
To kind of piggyback upon your prior question and the special permit, when we get into the building code with the educational occupancy, changing it, so we have an educational occupancy which had a portion for assembly, which was this section of what was the former church. That is what Brookfield Dance Academy is going to occupy, the former assembly space. To go from an educational occupancy to non-educational or type B, which would be for business, gets into a whole other ball of wax as well. So, without,
Another quick question for the land use director. Special permits, they do have a time on them if the use changes. So let's say there was a change on it, right? And a special permit was issued, it would come up every year, 2 years, or if they needed to change it. Am I correct?
No, Mr. Chairman, they don't have there's no time limit on that.
So a special permit is like a variance and it runs with the land.
Correct, unless, as you say, a completely different use was
If a use changes, it
desired, then
changes.
sure, yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
thank you.
I have a few more questions, but for the deacon. Anybody else have any questions?
Sorry.
That's okay, that's okay. No, for the record, Commissioner Kaiser is here. All right, Deacon. Thank you very, very much for allowing me to go out and, onto the property and actually walk through the building. And I think it was, Mr. Howard showed me.
It was Vince, yes.
Yes, Vince was very nice, I appreciate it. I may pull up in, my iPad and pull up Google Earth.
Sure.
Just so you can explain, where exactly it is. It's a little bit easier because you can literally zoom in on
Absolutely,
it.
sure.
Okay, first question on this. The special permits we kind of discussed before. And I heard your opening statements, how you were explaining everything, and did kind of seem like a financial hardship, or at least a good chunk of it. But could you please just restate exactly what the hardship is again, Deacon, if you don't mind?
Sure. The hardship is the operation and fielding of the parishioners in the church, in the parish. As I said, it has been a school for 60-plus years. Many of the parishioners in the town of Brookfield, their children have gone to the school. I don't know how many people I've met that had children go through the school, they've gone through the school. So to see the school close and to be empty, we heard lots of people asking what could we possibly do to keep the school alive as a school. So I would say 90% of our hardship is seeing an empty building with no life in the building whatsoever. That causes it causes hardship for people that have been to the school, that wish that their children could have finished going to the school, that wanted future children and grandchildren to go to the school. But it doesn't allow us to continue to nurture our children of the parish, and have them grow in a spiritual, academic area in a special teaching that's gonna teach them certain things in life. And I'm getting a little balled up here, I apologize.
No, it's fine.
But I think the most of it is the disappointment and the hurt when they drive by an empty building and they don't see school kids playing out in the back. And we feel that this is one way that we can continue to at least show the community and the parishioners are able to see that we're still bringing children into the church or into the school, so that they can learn and become better citizens as they get older.
Thank you. Would it be okay if I looked at the church on Google Earth?
Absolutely, sure.
Okay. So,
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we have these too.
we get the blow up too.
Well, I
All right,
brought
that's
those,
good.
those are all
Yeah.
part of the
Does it
package.
show around the back where you
It
can
does,
pull in
because
and where the doors are?
yeah, I'll show you because I kinda outlined it.
Yeah.
It's kinda, where is mine?
I'm gonna do it this way. Thank you. All right, can you please come forward?
Sure,
So
absolutely.
where would, if the school was in there, where would people pull in and drive, and then just point out exactly where the school is?
Okay, so this is the school, this is the church,
That's the main
this
entrance.
would be the main entrance, or they could come through this way. We haven't decided which way we're going to ask them to come in. Their hours do not conflict with, mass times, so whether they come in either entrance would be okay. Their entrance is right there. And their parking is only in this back lot. So there is nothing that's going to happen outside of those two doors that I'm sure that you went through. And their parking is only gonna be here, and then when they only have 20 to 25 children per hour, there's not gonna be an overabundance of traffic in the area that's gonna make it. There isn't gonna be any traffic. You know, when the school was there, we had a tremendous amount of traffic. With 25 kids coming in and going per hour, it's not gonna be, any kind of a burden for traffic on it.
Deacon, as I understand it, it's approximately 4,200 square feet. I did walk through. It's basically everything that's yellow.
It's
Right.
everything that's yellow.
It's everything that's yellow
Yes, sir.
downstairs there. And then all the doors that lead to the yellow area are doors 8, 9, 5, 6, and 10. Am I missing any? Those are the ones I walked through and looked at with Mr. Howard.
Yes, yes,
Okay.
those are.
Just would like to note for the record that I also called and I spoke to Fire Marshal D'Souza. I just wanted to ask his opinion on it
Sure.
for fire and egress and things like that. I spoke to him on March 24th, right after I went out there and looked at it. And he would like to see a plan and a layout, that this is, if it's approved, for exactly the type and the level. It's out there he said he was out there recently, and the same levels of the school, 190 they're very, I guess, similar. You had approximately 190 students at St.
Yes, sir.
Joseph School, and then you'd be at 185 students at the dance school goes in there.
Yes, sir.
So it's pretty similar. One thing that he did mention to me is that the codes for the schools are actually a little bit more stringent. You know, fire codes, egress codes, things like
Correct.
that, so he didn't see that he had a problem with it going in there. That was the bottom line from the fire marshal. He didn't foresee any problems, and I wanted to just note that for the record, because I did speak to him about that.
Yeah, and we did have to go through all that when Danbury Public School was in there because they operated as a school, so we had to make sure that all the egresses and everything was up to code as far as that goes.
Okay. And one more question for you.
Yes, sir.
All right, so, and you did mention this earlier when you were speaking about other types of nonprofit endeavors that you would consider. And you've been trying and you advertised and you
Yes,
had,
sir.
the Speech Academy was very interested, but that didn't work out.
Yeah,
And they haven't gotten back to you. They're a nonprofit, the Dance Academy happens to be a for-profit.
yes, sir.
I just did, and I'm not an expert on it, okay, it's just a Google search, but they had different things about, that were education related. Did you look into tutoring programs, teacher training programs, after-school programs, mentoring? There's a few of them, connecting the educators with social workers and other professionals to help special needs kids. These are all kind of nonprofit slash,
Yes, sir, we did.
Educator.
We even looked at, the possibility of the parish opening its own daycare. But the qualifications to do that, and the education and the staff that we would have needed, that we couldn't find. You have to find main principals and those things, so we explored that for 6 months. I even looked at the application, which was like 95 pages for a daycare center, and we tried to do that. We looked out for family families that wanted to operate one. And so we tried to put together a plan that we might be able to do that, and that didn't work. And I've talked to a lot of, I can't remember offhand, but some of the businesses that were non-for-profit for tutoring and using just portions of the school and classrooms piecemeal that could come in and rent spaces on different days of the week so that we could have students in there, and it just never, none of it ever fell through. We've been trying to do this for 2.5 years.
Okay, don't laugh at the next one.
I won't.
And I know something about dance, because a long time ago, I taught dance at Arthur Murray's in Danbury. But did you ever think about opening up your own non-for-profit school of dance or other type of fine arts, education, dance, instruction, something related?
We did. The problem with the church is when you change pastors and you change priests, people come and go. Parishioners move in and they move out because of the likes and dislikes. So to try to do that on our own, to try to find the staffing for that, we couldn't find people to be able to do that. We looked at all those things along the same lines of trying to open up our own daycare. We just couldn't find the people that would be willing to either invest in it, get the educations that you needed, get the certifications, get the things that we needed for the school for it to do that. And that was all, I've been working on that even from North Carolina where I live, so.
My last question, don't laugh at this one here, but I thought of this for myself. What about possibly a not-for-profit climate-controlled storage area? For example, I believe, and I'm pretty sure that the Brookfield Library is looking for outside storage, and they're really close to you guys. Have you guys ever thought about anything like that, not-for-profit?
We thought about it, but then again, storage doesn't have anything to do with children. It doesn't have anything to do with education. It doesn't have anything to do with bringing life to the building. And that would kind of make it, the way that we felt about it and talked about it with the parish council, the trustees, we've got the trustees here, is that we don't want the building to die. And when we do that, we even looked at a church supply, Adrian Hamer, who has storage in Danbury, was looking to make it that way, and we just looked at what it was, and it was just old church stuff that's gonna get stuck in classrooms. And then we're gonna have trucks coming around and unloading and loading, and we just didn't wanna, that wasn't the image, that's not what we wanna do with the school.
It's not a great idea, I got you. Thank you very much, Deacon.
Thank you, sir.
Does anybody else have any questions for me?
Yeah, I have a few. You said that the dance academy, you're looking for a 5-year lease. If they stay for the 5 years, is that enough to pay the utilities and upkeep that you mentioned in the beginning?
Yes, we've done a financial study between, like I also stated in my presentation, we have an organization, it's a hybrid homeschooling, Regina Chele Academy, that leases 2 classrooms. What they do is, their homeschooling is they teach their kids at home on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and then they come together as a community on Mondays and Thursdays. So they lease 4 of our classrooms upstairs. If we can get the dance academy to come in with that lease amount plus the amount that Regina Chele pays us, that's almost a break even for us. We may not 100%, but it becomes within the area where it's not gonna be a burden to the parish. Because what we'd like to do with the upstairs, we had some issues where we weren't able to do some other things for gathering spaces. We wanna then take the upstairs of the building, which is always available to the public and it's gonna be seen more, and keep it church-like so that we can use it for religious education and for gatherings, for coffee and donuts, and for those things in meeting space that we have. We wanna keep the upstairs floor for the parish use. Those two tenants down on the lower level would support 99% of the cost of the building.
Okay. So that the homeschool group, they're downstairs in one of the rooms that you have highlighted.
Right now, they occupy the upstairs, because the entire building is empty. Because they like to use the gym for the kids. they just use the upstairs, but what we're going to do when their lease is up in a couple months, we're going to move them downstairs on the renewal of their lease for the year. And they're going to use, because there's an extra classroom downstairs, there's 5 traditional classrooms downstairs, versus the 4 they have upstairs, so that would give them more room downstairs. And then the 2 academies, the 2 schools could play nice together, and hopefully just, that would keep everything steady.
Okay. And last question was, you mentioned that the ADA doesn't, all of their performances are at BHS or offsite. Is that something you guys plan on putting in the lease, that they cannot have any
Yes, we have.
performances?
Well, we can, if you like to have that as a condition. And they could probably speak to that themselves, we don't have the facilities for them to do a recital
Right.
or to do any of those things. So for them to put on any kind of a production, I know when I went to see my granddaughters do all theirs, it was always at a high school, and it was in some
Yeah.
huge auditorium where they had sets and props and stuff. We don't have the facilities, and because of the fact that we would use the upstairs, we wouldn't allow that upstairs anyway.
So,
I have another question for you,
Yes, sir.
Deacon. Okay, the variance that you're asking from us stays with the land forever in perpetuity, that's the law.
Yes, sir.
We don't have anything in writing, a lease, like Commissioner Hewing was mentioning, anything from the dance studio. As far as we know, we could grant the variance today, and tomorrow they say, hey, you know what, it's not gonna work out. And now we put a variance on that.
Okay, my apologies, I should have included, we do have a letter of intent, and we've already began to draft the lease for the diocese, because the Bishop Caggiano has to sign the lease.
Okay.
So we do have a letter of intent signed by the Dance Academy and signed by the church, all based on the fact if we could get this variance.
Okay. Last question, I promise. The one letter did mention precedents, which is very important,
Yes,
right?
sir.
How do you address the concern about precedents? Say, if St. Joseph's Church there, you have a great congregational church, there's other people around there who say, hey, you know what? We want a commercial zone, we want a commercial zone, we want a commercial zone. How do you address that, sir?
I don't know if I'm qualified to address that, or maybe Mr. Checo, because I don't.
Again, Paul Checo. Again, you have the Congregational Church, but how many of them have schools physically attached to them? Again, we have one, Christian Life Academy. I'm not sure if the other one has a physical school. But again, it's a physical school that was closed down, that there's no other use for within the zoning code. And from a building code standpoint, educational occupancy is very tough to fill. So again, if you line up all those pieces, it does become so restrictive that it doesn't set precedent for anybody else. Just like 2 years ago, there was a hardship where there was for Brookfield, where there was a piece of property on Federal Road which didn't allow a certain use. It came before the zoning board of appeals, and I wish I had it before me. But again, variance was granted because the hardship had to do with the restrictiveness of the zoning code at that point and non-permitted uses.
And one question for you, Mr.
Yes, sir.
Checo. So there is, I don't have the legal case right in front of me, I read it days ago, but there is a legal case in Connecticut where a zoning board of appeals did exactly what you're asking of us, okay? And they took a piece of, you probably know the one I'm talking about, and they literally changed the zone in that area. And it went through the court system, and the ZBA got overturned, because in effect, they basically became a legislature and said, hey, I'm gonna make this a new zone. And then somebody else can come in front of us, I'm gonna make this a new zone. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, and that's,
How do you address that?
and that is not unique to Connecticut. It's actually, do most of my work in New York, throughout New York City and Westchester County, and there are always challenges to prior cases and prior zoning boards of appeal granting variances. The best I can say is, in this case, that if somebody else were to come before you, we would have to see what the merits of their case would be. Do they have the same hardships? Are they demonstrating the same need? Have they gone through the same steps where we've been out on the market for 2.5 years with little to no interest? Have they demonstrably set the same precedent and the same case that we set? And if they did, well, they probably then would be entitled to a favorable judgment on the board's case.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman, thank you very much. Any other questions?
I have kind of a outside the
Follow-up.
box question. I hope you can appreciate that we're trying to, we're very sympathetic, I think, as a board, and, you know, and as Chairman Donnelly has said, you know, this is a very high bar that we have to clear in order to grant a variance, and so the hardship is really challenging for us, and we're trying to find one. But my question for you is, have you asked the Dance Academy if they've thought about a nonprofit wing or, you know, subsidiary or something like that?
I
Because
have,
maybe that's a, you know,
I have
area to
not,
look at.
I didn't.
Right, a satellite,
yeah.
a satellite for non, that's kind of what I was trying to allude to before, but I couldn't think of the words. That's-
Yeah,
That's what I was
because then
thinking.
you could, they can use that to, you know, tour, the nursing homes and, you know, all of the good things that you mentioned that they do for the community.
I don't know what the Dance Academy's reasons are for coming. I think it's they wanna leave the area that they're at and wanna move that entire business into the school, because it's more conducive to what they wanna do. So I haven't addressed the satellite issue, that I wasn't aware of, to be able to ask those kind of questions.
Additionally, from a code standpoint, even if it's a non-for-profit, it's not the education of students from K through 12, which is the educational occupancy that's listed in the building code. So there's differences in the building code as to what is permissible. So we have a CO, which permitted an assembly for a church and an educational use for K through 12, public and private schools. I don't know that a dance academy, albeit a nonprofit dance academy, fits that educational.
It's teaching. I worked in one for 15 years, and you're teaching every single day. You're teaching
Yeah.
I don't,
ladies, gentlemen, kids.
I don't,
It's a school.
I don't disagree, but by the letter of the building code on what's an educational occupancy, that's kind of what we go by.
Interesting.
Thank you. This one.
I was just saying, I was just gonna say, I'm not sure if that meets the legal
K
definition
through
of
12.
school for
Yeah.
purposes of.
Teaching.
Right.
Okay, anybody else have any questions? All right, at this, thank you very much.
Thank you so
At
much.
this time, I'd like to ask if there's anybody here to speak in favor of this application. Yes, sir, please come forward, state your name and address for the record,
Sure.
and welcome to the zoning board of appeals in Brookfield.
Good evening. My name's Aaron Cox. This is actually the same letter.
Thank you, yes, I'm sorry.
That's
Mr.
okay. I just figured I would pass it out to you all in case.
Thank you so much.
I have a copy, thank you.
Would you like a
Just,
copy?
Can you just say your address for the record?
Sure. It is 33 Pond Brook Road.
All right, thank you.
I don't have enough for everybody, but
That's all right.
33 Pond Brook Road, Newtown, Connecticut. And I'm not going to read this. You guys can all read. I will let you read it. I recognize a lot of faces here. I have been involved in Brookfield a lot. My grandfather lived in Brookfield for 50 years. For 30 years, I was the assistant winemaker and winemaker at DeGrazia Vineyards. So I have pretty strong ties here to Brookfield. I have 3 kids. All 3 of my kids dance at the studio. If you see me scoot out of here at 9:10, I apologize. I'm running to the studio to pick up my children. What I wanted to speak about very quickly to all the members of the board is 2 very important things. We continually, and it's really interesting because the deacon said a number of things that I put into my letter, unbeknown to me. One of them that strikes a real chord with me, and the reason my kids are still at the studio, is because the studio is such a loving, kind, inclusive place for everyone. Next year will be 50 years. We have moms dancing with their daughters. We have grandmas dancing with their daughters, dancing with their daughters, all who have taken classes when they were children at the Academy of Dance Arts. Beyond that, I often joke that Miss Sam is not really just a dance teacher. She teaches 20% dance. She's 20% administrator. She's 80% therapist, mom, confidant. She's the one who the girls sit and talk with. The loving, kind environment that the church is looking for is ADA, is the Academy of Dance Arts. It's the reason we're still there after 13 years. And it's the reason I fully expect I'll be there another 10 years. Speaking about the educational aspect, I wanted to make sure that we understood how educational dance really is. And that's why I included references in my letter. My background is education. I have a dual degree. I have a degree in music. I taught for a number of years, along with making wine. One of the things that is stressed in today's school system is grit, determination. The second thing that is stressed is responsibility. And the third is flexibility. And I think we can all agree that the most successful people that we know have those attributes. And the studies that I've provided show that. Dance teaches us grit, determination. The fact that if you can't do something the first time, it's okay to fail, get back up and do it again. It teaches us responsibility. Responsibility to practice, responsibility to be dressed correctly, to have our hair done correctly. In the real world, responsibility is what makes us successful. And it teaches us flexibility. And I don't mean the flexibility to do a split or to touch our toes. I mean the flexibility to think creatively, to be able to work in a group with other people. The studies show us dance teaches all of that. The Academy of Dance Arts, although it is a for-profit entity, is wholeheartedly an educational facility. And it's amazing to me to hear the church say that they agree, that they would love to see an educational facility, such as the Academy of Dance Arts, be in a school setting. I hope that we can see the benefits of having the Academy of Dance Arts move into the center of Brookfield. I know it's difficult to find ways to navigate what the committee has to do.
Thank you.
If you guys have any questions, as we go on, I'd be happy to answer them. Thank you all so much.
Thank you, sir. This time I'd like to ask if there's anybody else that would like to speak in favor of this application. Yes, ma'am. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
My name is Samantha Fluck. I'm the owner of the Academy of Dance Arts at 336 Federal Road.
Thank you.
I just wanted to submit, I also had a couple other letters. They didn't get emailed in, but they asked if I could bring them in. There.
Can you give me 1 second?
Absolutely, I
Okay.
can.
I'm gonna have these we're gonna have to stamp, right?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna have
Can I give the names for,
Please,
two in an email.
and
Yes.
Samantha,
So there's three.
Yes.
Yes.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
yeah, I couldn't understand your last name, Samantha,
Oh,
please.
Fluck, F-L-O-O-K.
Thank you.
Thank you. Give me 1 second
No
so
problem.
we can get these into the
Yeah.
record. There's
These
two
are-
in an email.
Okay, these are letters dated April 2nd from Doreen Rafferty, former owner and director of the ADA, She writes in support of Samantha Fluck,
Flook.
sorry,
How do you spell it again?
FLOOK, and the Academy of Arts, and the collaboration with St. Joseph's Church / school. The second one, these are all in favor. The second one into the record should be from, I assume they're all dated, I'm sorry, my computer, April 2nd, both of them. I don't have Miss Rafferty's address. The second one is from Monadon, am I pronouncing that correctly?
Shanaz
Oh,
Madood.
Yeah,
Monadon Clinical,
Shanaz.
Shanaz.
Spell it out.
I'm sorry, yeah.
You wanna say?
First name, SHANEZ, middle initial F as in Frank, M as in Mary, OUDUD, and he is a PhD. He's a clinical psychologist, and he's located at 29 Sunset Hill Road in Brookfield. And I guess he's Sam Fluke. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
It's okay.
The owner of the Brookfield Dance Studio called ADA requested that I write this letter to support her appeal to relocate her dance studio to a zone where for-profit organization currently do not have permit to practice. I am respectfully submitting my letter to kindly consider her appeal. And the
That's an
third
email.
one is an email.
That's the last name.
I know, Mr. Chairman,
Okay, go ahead.
I'm older than you. I have no date on this email, but it's from Cynthia O'Donovan, that's O''D, O-N as in Nancy, O-V-A-N. And she's a resident of Brookfield for 25 years. During the time, I've had 2 daughters attend the ADA for dance. Once that dance for recreation and the other who dance competitively. They not only learn the art of dancing, but they learn teamwork, time management, commitment, and preservation. I was also an employee while it was owned by Doreen Rafferty. I watched many children go up at the academy, and I saw the benefits for these students being part of a dance community. So,
Let's stand.
okay. Should I stamp the others too?
Yes.
Okay.
Would you like to speak, ma'am?
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, that's okay. No, I just
You have
mostly
the floor.
would like to say thank you for considering this. We very much would like to move into that space. We feel that our studio does very much fit exactly what they're looking for. You know, we're not a hardcore, intense, competitive studio. We are a family studio. We're about being a family, you know, teaching these kids to grow up as good human beings, all while giving them kind of a dance education. So we are for profit. We have looked into non-for-profit, but it is quite a process, and basically kind of we would have to revamp every single thing we've ever done for the last 49 years. And it just at this point is not an option for us, unfortunately. But we did actually look into it when we found the space to even see if it was a possibility to make this easier on everybody, because we would be willing to do it in order to move into that space. It's just the perfect space for us. The layout of the building, literally nothing inside needs to be changed other than, you know, we need to put some mirrors and ballet bars on the wall. Nothing outside. Our parents at this point are, most of them are drop off, you know, they drop off, the kids take class, they come back and pick them up, so there's not gonna be a high population of people sitting outside the building. It shouldn't affect anything in the neighborhood, in the residential area. And, you know, the sound systems we use, they're not, it's a little Bluetooth speaker, you know, there's gonna be no noise issues, we're not changing anything outside the building, we're pretty much not changing anything inside the building, and just, the space is just perfect. We just really would love to be in that space, continuing to educate kids, even though it's not, you know, math and English and science, it is still in my opinion, a very important education
An art.
for them. It is, it's an art, and, you know, it's important, and we really would like to stay in Brookfield. We've been looking for spaces through Brookfield for the last 2 years, and commercial spaces are really just not, they're not working out for us right now in the qualifications of kind of what we need in a building in order to keep nurturing the kids properly and in the correct amount of space. So, yeah, that's.
I have a question for you, Ms. Cook, if you
Yes.
don't mind. Okay, I understood what you said, without getting into the nitty-gritty or
Yeah.
details of it, because you said you did look into possibly changing to a nonprofit
Yes.
and being able to utilize the space over there. Would it be possible,
Mhm.
let's say you said, okay, you know what, I wanna have I wanna start a non-for-profit, different company, whatever you can call it, whatever
Mm-hmm.
you want, start it up over there, keep the dance academy going, that, goes really well, hey, it's great, let's change it all and bam, would it be possible to do something like that, but on a smaller scale, like the satellite that we were discussing before?
I would have to kind of figure out how to do that, because I don't know like which portion of kind of how my business runs, like whether it was like a little bit of performance portion would kind of create its own entity or kind of how that works, but then it also would, require me to find a board and, you know, foundation members and donors and all of these things that I currently really have no idea where I would find those people. So it would be a very large process, and I don't even know how quickly I could get that done. But then also, I just out of my not knowing, would that still qualify mine for-profit studio to run in that space, or only the non-for-profit portion?
Well, non-for-profit, so a satellite non-for-profit, I'm not an expert in business or nonprofits or anything like that, it's just an idea, okay?
Yeah.
So you had a satellite and you said, okay, I wanna call this, American Dance Academy, not-for-profit, whatever you name
Right.
it. This is a satellite, it's over there, you run it basically the same way, but set it up as a non-profit organization. It's there for a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, you're like, wow, this is fantastic, whammo, and the whole studio and everything's over there. It's just an
Um,
idea.
I don't know if feasibly
I
I
don't
could
know.
do that as my own person also.
I
Yeah,
I
I
think it's
am,
conflict of interest because
Yeah.
you're operating a business that's for profit.
yes, yeah, I'm the only person that runs the Academy of Dance Arts. I don't have, I mean, I have, instructors, but I don't have like, administrators or boards or anything, it's just me, and I also have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old and a husband at home, so I don't know if I could kind of juggle running both, but also, yes, I do think it would be a conflict of interest because I would have a for-profit, the same business, basically for-profit, kind of just down the road in town, and then a non-for-profit, so I don't know if that would work.
Last question.
Yes.
When we close public hearing, we can't accept any other evidence.
Okay.
If let's say we weren't sure and we discussed amongst ourselves and we wanted to continue the public hearing, would you be willing to bring a copy of your lease like the deacon spoke about earlier, if we needed more information?
Yes, of course.
Because once we close this,
Yes,
that's it.
yep, yes.
Let's-
yes.
Thank you, ma'am.
I have, I mean, it's an email version, but is there an email address I can send it to? I have the draft that we drew up and kind of both went,
It would have to be in front of us and stamped and
okay,
put in.
yeah, I didn't think to bring it, sorry.
That's okay. Thank you very much. It was
Yes.
just a question.
Okay, no
Thank you
problem.
very much. Okay.
I have a question, 2 questions. One, is the ADA okay not having any outside signage for your studio? Because we were talking earlier about
Yes.
not changing landscape or anything on the outside. Is that going to become an issue for you at some point?
I could definitely work around it. I believe in the lease we drew up, we had discussed possibly using the sign that's already there. Like there's a sign out front and it has the photo sign and then the words that kind of change weekly. And so we had discussed possibly putting just the academy, you know, my academy sign there, not adding additional signage, not changing anything. It wouldn't change any of the layout. The signage is already out front. It would just be swapping the text
Is
that's
that
in.
where the like half driveway kind of thing
Yes.
is?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, that would be the only signage that we discussed.
So it wouldn't be facing Federal Road, it would be in the back, right? Not
No, it's
Federal
it's
Road,
right
I don't mean.
It's in the
133.
front of the
133.
building,
Sorry,
across
yes.
from Center School,
Yes.
yeah,
It's right
yes.
here.
Yeah,
133.
Yeah, it's a pre-existing sign, so
Okay.
it would just mean potentially switching out just the photo that was in the front of the sign.
My other question was, are you, and you know, you can also not answer this question, but you guys are trying to move, are you guys being removed from your current location, or you're just looking to upgrade to a better location?
We are not being removed from our current location. My lease is ending, which is why I'm looking, but I have the option to renew it. The landlord is more than happy to keep us there. I just need more space for the kids to actually be able to physically be able to dance properly and safely. And right now, I think my building's like 1,200 square feet. So, and we have like 6.5 foot ceilings. So it gets to be pretty limiting when I have some high school dancers that are taller than me, so they're jumping and smacking the ceiling, and it's just a matter of I just need a little bit more space for the kids to safely move their bodies in. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Is there anybody, Deacon, you're gonna have the last word, sir? Anybody else here that would like to speak? Yes,
I
sir.
would. Not,
Speak in favor or opposition, sir.
I'm in favor of it.
Please state your name and address for the record.
Okay, sure. It's Bill Shaughnessy. Oh, I better
Mr.
spell
Shaughnessy.
that.
No, I got it.
You got it?
Thank you, Mr. Shaughnessy. Welcome to the zoning board of
Got a
appeals.
G in it, does it?
I'm a member, of course, of St.
Yes.
Joseph Church, so, I mean, and I'm for this. I'm even more for it than before I heard the presentation. what I wanna do is address the fear of precedent. I can't imagine how you can go to, say, Route 25, down a few houses, have a place which is a dwelling place, the person says, I wanna open a gas station here. I mean, that's a total discontinuity in a residential zone. Here we're talking about continuity. Continuity is not gonna change anything that you can see from the road. It's not gonna create any parking hazard differences. The person who wants to do that down the street is gonna have to build a parking area. And with the restrictions we have placed in our appeal, I can't imagine how it could be possibly used as a precedent to create some non-existing facility in some non-existing location in a residential zone that probably already has a home on it, or a church. So I don't think the idea of a fear of that is very realistic, to tell you the truth. And I hope you would agree with that. And that's all sit down, yeah, you've had enough talking to.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shaughnessy. Is there anybody else that would like to speak in favor of the application? Is there anybody here that would like to speak in opposition to the application? Yes, ma'am. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Jacqueline Salem, 148 Wisteria Road.
Welcome to the zoning board of appeals, ma'am.
Thank you. And full disclosure, like Paul, I've been chair of the Historic District Commission for 30 years. So what I'd like to say is I'm totally in favor for all the good things that the Dance Academy does. And I'm not actually necessarily against the actual Dance Academy, but I am against the precedent that it's gonna set. I mean, we can say that, yes, it may never happen and it could never happen, but once the change is made and it's attached to that building and to that land, I guess I disagree with Mr. Checo to say, well, what if Congregational Church comes? Well, what if Center School is empty? And then what if somebody wants to do a commercial not-for-profit business out of the Center School? Maybe the town has to sell the museum one day. I mean, you know, it seems highly unlikely, but once the change is made and it's attached to the land, that doesn't make any difference. And I would also argue that even if the lease states that this is what they're going to do, well, maybe in 10 years, that lease is gone and somebody else, now they're looking to find another tenant for the building. So those aren't guarantees. I'm also not clear that a hardship has been demonstrated other than, I would say, the financial hardship. I would also argue about the traffic. I mean, I've lived on Route 25 close to getting near 40 years now, so I'm very familiar with traffic and what goes on. With the school, it's only traffic 2 times a day. It's in the morning to get the kids to school, and it's traffic in the afternoon to take the kids from school. Here, we're talking about 25 students, so maybe it's not 25 cars, but maybe it's 15 or 20 cars turned over every single hour. You know, aside from the traffic that the churches all produce in that area. So I would argue that it's more traffic than what the school generates, and it's also till 9:30 at night in a residential neighborhood. So it's a totally different situation than having the school traffic. So those are a few of the things. In terms of the signage, I'm not sure if I'm thinking, the only sign I can remember is the one that said St. Joseph's School and St. Joseph's Academy. It's the white sign, which they came to me and I redesigned it, and that's the sign that ended up there. That sign is not a problem. If there's additional signage, I would say that, that would pose a problem, and I'm not sure in terms of zoning how much more coverage is allowed with the school. So I would say that it does set a negative precedent, and once it's put on there, it's there, and anybody else can come to and try to operate a for-profit business. As I said, it's not per se the actual dance school that I feel is the issue. I feel that it's the things that could possibly also come after, and that there is more traffic through a more prolonged period of time. I think, so that would be the reason why I would be against it. I'm a big supporter of the arts, and I totally agree, it does have a lot of positive things to it, so it's not about the dance school, it's about the other things.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
Sewell. Thank you
Thank
very much. This time I'd like to ask if there's anybody else that would like to speak in opposition to this. Yes, ma'am. Please stand.
Rosemary Herb Fawcett,
Yes, ma'am.
148 Wiskaneer Road. Historic District Commission, I've served since 1980. So I've seen the church come in its new form and its old form and back and forth. I don't have a problem whatsoever with dancing. I have a problem with zone change. And whether you use the word precedent or not, it sets up, like, the whole area is in a state of flux between needing a new library and the school closing. And every church in the neighborhood has an extra property to it that they could rent and develop something else there. So that's what I have a problem with, and I don't wanna see nighttime traffic, is what it amounts to. And Jacqueline covered the rest of it.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. At this time, I'd like to ask if there's anyone else that would like to speak in opposition to this application. Hearing none. Deacon Howe, you have the final say, sir.
And I'm gonna turn the final say if I can over to Mr. Chairman.
Absolutely.
Just wanted to offer a clarification, we were talking about educational occupancies versus business. An educational occupancy by definition by the building code, 2022 building code of the state of Connecticut, includes amongst others the use of a building or structure or portion thereof by 6 or more persons at any time for educational purposes through the 12th grade. Now, that being stated, I know Dance Academy educates above that grade group. However, a group B occupancy, which is business, includes training and skill development not in a school or academic program, included but not limited to tutoring centers, which was mentioned before, martial arts, studios, gymnastics, and similar uses, regardless of the ages served. So regardless of whether this is profit or for-profit or nonprofit, the building code doesn't discern between the two. It's the same regardless of whether it's a for-profit or a nonprofit. So what we're looking here is a change of occupancy to allow a business to exist in the zone where a school is permitted by special permit. There's no other avenue here within the zoning code to say, hey, you know what, we can use it for this use. If it's a nonprofit or if it's for-profit, if it's not an educational use, we have to come before you.
Thank
Okay.
you, sir.
Thank you.
Deacon, you may speak if you'd like to, sir.
I just wanna thank you all for putting up with my, nervousness. I came from North Carolina to be before you, cause I thought it was that important for us to do it. I don't know how to express in words what the church really wants to accomplish. That it's not just to fill space, just to have, the money come in. The church is sometimes, or has lately been going through really rough times. And what we wanna do is maintain the visual that youth is the future. And we wanna make sure that we continue to educate our children to come up. They're embattled with all kinds of social media, all these other things that are so negatively impacting their life. That if we can keep them in some kind of a structure that is a positive structure in their life, maybe it will help combat the negative that they're exposed to on a daily basis. So I just wanna hope that we can bring this school into their school, into our school, and that we can continue to channel and hopefully direct our children into the proper way of living their life.
Thank you, Deacon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, at this time, before I ask for motion to close the public hearing, is there anybody that has any questions or needs any other information whatsoever? Because now's the time to ask. Copy of possibly a lease. Not sure, wanna have a special meeting and go out and walk the building or location. Anything at all, now's the time for somebody to ask.
I think I'm good with all the information we have.
Thank you.
I'd like to hear from Ms. Hotstove, what the process was when they came to you to ask whether it was a variance or if they should go to the zoning commission. Again, I'm sorry, it didn't gel completely.
Thank you. Yes, I'll try to explain that. Rochelle Hadza again, Land Use Director. So the application came, well, I guess Mr. Lawley had some conversations with Deacon Lou, because that's really Mr. Lawley's purview. So they had discussed this, and in the end, I think decided to go before the Zoning Board of Appeals, that was the proper venue for this application. I put a little bit of a hold on that because I wasn't really clear, so I studied all the regulations and all the, as I say, the history of the church, which I determined was first of all established before the zoning commission existed, and it was established before the zoning regulations existed. So initially, I thought it was a pre-existing non-conforming use. However, in going over the regulations again, and with a fine-tooth comb and discussing it, my suspicions with the attorney, the land use attorney, Barbara Schellenberg, I determined, and she agreed, that because the school is now currently a conforming use, there's no place for a special permit, to have a pre-existing non-conforming use adjudicated, for a special permit by the zoning commission, because it is an allowed use right now. So I great tedium for poor Deacon Howe. I put a kibosh on that. Said, okay, nope. Fran was right. I'm wrong. We need to go to the Zoning Board of Appeals. The reason again for that is specifically that there are two regulations that say one of them says
3.3 you're talking about?
Yes, one of them says you can have a for-profit school. I'm sorry, I will start with the nonprofit. You can have a nonprofit school in a residential zone by special permit. So you go before the zoning commission and they say, okay, it all works for us. You know, you've shown that you can comply with, you know, traffic, et cetera, and here's your special permit. Have at it. The second regulation, another regulation, right underneath that says, if you have a for-profit school, you can also be in a residential zone. However, all the students that you teach at that school
K through.
cannot have gone into high school yet. So anyone, it doesn't even give you an age, but like they can't, so I guess if you're really slow and you stay back, you can, and you're 19, you can still dance there, but all right, regulations are always tough to write, those were the two specific regulations that would require a special permit. But this particular, so that's why they need a variance, because they can't meet either one of those. But, you know, by a very small margin. So but they still have to come here to get a variance to say, you can have this school for not only students lower than was it ninth grade? When did we go to high school? I don't know.
Yeah.
9 through 12.
I stayed back a number of times. Nine, so, you know, but also all students, ages of, you know, all students.
Okay, thank you, that was really helpful.
All right.
On that same subject, I have another question for you. I did mention it earlier. Let's say for some reason that they weren't granted a variance. They could still, they have the absolute right to go and fill out a form and ask the zoning commission to tweak or slightly change that. Whether they do it or not, but they still have the right. Is that correct? Am I correct?
They have the right to do that, sure.
Okay, thank you very much. Does anybody else have any questions before we close the public hearing? All right, I'll take a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
Second?
Oh, well, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, point of order, point of
yes.
order, Mr.
You're
Ms.
recognized.
Nahid is not
See, they
seated.
came in a little bit late on this one. Elijah,
She cannot
you're on
vote.
this.
Yeah.
Would you like them second?
Sure.
Okay, Elijah seconds. All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Thank you. On to our second application. It is Z-23-17, 52 Candlewood Shores Road. Karen Carpenter, 2 Elwell Road in Fairfield, Connecticut, and Mr., I hope I say it right, Mr. Lowe. Mr. Lowe here?
Mr. Chairman, they are not present tonight.
They're not present?
They are not, so
They
they would
asked
ask,
for an extension, did
they
they
asked for
not?
an extension.
Extension or continue?
Continue to the next meeting.
Okay, I'll take a motion to continue, or would you like to?
Yeah, motion to continue, was it Z-23-17 public hearing to the next meeting?
Do you have a second?
I'll
Janet
second.
seconds?
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, on to our third application. This would be Z-23-18, 7 Appleby Farm Road, 15-foot structure to the right lot line and accessory structure in the front yard. Is the applicant here?
Yes. Sorry, just a quick point of order, so I just wanna clarify for myself, because Nahid is here, she a
Oh,
sitting
yes.
voting member for this case,
You
or
are
is?
on this. No, you're on
I
this.
can sit and listen to
No,
you.
no,
No.
you're on this, she's here.
She
Nahid, you're on this.
She could not vote on the first one,
Correct,
but she can vote now.
you're on this.
She's on it.
Okay, thank you, Nahid.
There's communication.
Thanks, Glenn. Oh, okay. We have we'll move on to it, but there's a last minute communication. Mr. Young, please come forward, state your name and address for the record, and tell us about your case.
Hear me okay here?
I hear you absolutely, so.
Sure, my name is Giuseppe Testa. My husband and I live at the house along with my parents. My dad Vince is here. We moved in about a year ago, January of last year, and when we first moved in, the previous owners had built she was very fit, so she had a Ninja Warrior set. If you've ever seen it on CBS or ABC, whatever it's on. So, you know, the ropes and all the things I can't do. So we weren't gonna use it, we took it down, with the plans of putting a shed in that location. so that, you know, it was cemented in, it was, there was a flat board, there was a base already in there, so we just took all the ropes down. And, here I am today requesting a variance to put a shed in that location, which our property line, like I'm sure many property lines in Brookfield, it's not a square box, it's very unique. So the shed would be 15 feet from my neighbor, which would be, number 7, the Lynch's, property line, and then it would extend about 15 feet into the front. But the property line, as I was saying, with the way the property is set, it's about 400 feet from that neighbor. So, you know, the houses, there's a lot of woods in between. So I'm requesting, because I was here back in September or October for a request for a pool variance, if you remember.
Thought you looked familiar, sir.
Okay, which we attached a copy. You were gracious enough to give us a variance for 5 feet to property line, sorry, 15 feet instead of 20. Is going to be up top on the hill. I'm restricted, they have to put pool equipment down. I have a chicken coop kind of next to that area, and then I wanted to put the shed. To my backyard, there's no space with the pool, and then to my left of my house is the septic and leaching fields. And the front is all, I'm not allowed on the front anyway, but it's wetlands. So just the uniqueness of the property and trying to keep the area tidy, you know, pool comes, you have rafts, you have things, you have storage to keep things in, and keep it nice and tidy, and I request that for a variance of 15 feet on the side and that 15 feet into the front. And the shed is
It
within.
says 16 here.
16, I'm sorry,
That's
16
okay.
feet.
Just making sure it's.
The shed would be within the under 200 square feet, which wouldn't require a building permit. So I would just have to go in for just a permit for a shed, not a building permit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Testa.
Thank
At this time, we're gonna read, we have that last minute letter in the record.
I don't know why I'm not getting them, why am I?
Oh, no, it just came last minute. That's why. Fran, this is the one you
Okay,
just handed me,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
For the record, this is from Chris Lynch, an email dated March 29, 2023. I hope, to Mr. Lally, I hope you and your family, well, I'm not sure. I received a notice that my friend and neighbor Giuseppe Testa copied is requesting a variance on their shed location. I discussed this in detail with Giuseppe and no objection to his request for a variance to be only 15 feet plus slash minus, am I reading that correctly, from my side property line. I also have no objection to the shed being approximately 15 feet into the front yard. Prior to Mr. Testi's moving in last year, the previous owners had a Ninja Warrior set there that was quite the eyesore. The testers tearing it down and putting a shed in that location would look great. My home is to the right of the Testa house and is number 9 Appleby Farm Road. Please feel free to contact me. And you have Mr. Lynch's mobile number, I won't give that, right?
I'm sorry, would you, Ms. LaForge, repeat his address?
Yes, there was no,
but
yeah,
he-
there is
It's
address.
an email.
Number,
Yeah, but
it's
he
an
lives-
email, but it number not.
Oh,
Number 9.
No, I
Reading
just said
it,
he's-
yes,
oh,
please,
number 9.
please, gentlemen, please. Number 9 Appleby Farm Road.
Thank you.
And I'm going to, this has already been
Yep,
stamped,
sorry, Ms.
so
Sally.
we can put that in there.
Thank you very much. Do any commissioners have any questions for the applicant? I have a couple, but I'll wait for the wisdom.
What are you stating is the hardship?
It's more so when I first moved into the house, the property lines were a little unclear. The previous owner wasn't honest, and I didn't do my true due diligence in taking out my tape measure and measuring the distance. I, to be 100% honest, assumed that was the property, because the house is so far away. They don't need, there's trees, there's brushes, there's, you know, they don't do anything with the woods between the two houses. So it's more just a hardship to keep the area tidy. We like to, you know, little things like have, you know, tools in a shed instead of a garage. My parents live with me, they have a garage, we have a 3-car garage. My husband, so it's, you know, we'd like to, the garage is like, not like most people, we like to try to keep our car in it rather than make it a workshop. And, you know, although the area to the left, there's septic field and leaching fields, you see it when you first pull up. Prefer not to put a shed there, I mean, I could. This is tucked away, you don't see it from the corporate driveway. So the hardship is just more trying to keep the area tidy and live in a house and have things that, you know, enjoy the house.
Yes.
I just wanted to confirm, this is the house, this is the neighbor that wrote the letter?
That's the Lynch's, correct,
That's
yes.
the Lynch's.
And that's the platform where the old jungle gym was.
Yes.
Any other questions?
Like really
How
simple.
is the platform affixed to the land? Is it movable? Is it?
So they had, and I guess my dad, not very handy. They had cement, I guess when you build a foundation, you put cement and you anchor it in. Am I right in that, Dad?
I'm sorry.
My dad, Vincent.
Please state your name and address for the record, sir.
Vince Testa, I live at, same, several alphabet, alphabet. And when we went over there, it was, this flat, very ugly. All the neighbors, they said, I can't wait that these people leave. He said, you take that things down? I said, yeah, we take it down, but we want to put, a shed. Okay. First of all, I come from Philadelphia, and you don't need a 30 feet or 15 feet, like it's like 6, 7 feet from, from over there. It's something completely different. And I went over there, oh God, no, I told I can't do that kind of stuff. So we clean all day with the intention to do something positive. And we done, because all the neighbors, everyone is, oh, thank God you guys move in, thank God you move in. The place looks 100% better. We have a chicken coop, I don't know who came up, the other day, it's, oh, okay, you, welcome back, this is the second time on the property, You told to not come outside, not talk to you, I saw you, and I let you do your work, I don't want to, complicate anything. What you asked me before, yes, it was a cement in, yes, because it was very, very high, it was 16 foot high for the rope to come.
So there's a slab and then it's connected to that top part, the platform is connected to the slab underneath
The
it.
slab, it's the slab on it.
There's already a slab
Yeah,
there.
it's already a slab, all the way around and everything, like this, And he said, we just want, the shed is like, 12 for 15 and a half, we put a 16 just for today, but it's what it is, it's 192 square feet shed, we want to put it on, under 200. That's it, I don't know what else to tell you.
Do you know how long the platform has been there?
How long is the platform over here? It should be there all the time.
No, I mean,
The existing one?
No, the existing.
the existing.
The existing one.
How many years maybe has it been in that place?
I don't know, we moved like a year ago, so I don't know if it was, I know all the neighbors, even Miss Appleby, the one, is on all day, it's so much, so much positive on all sides, they said,
I'm guessing, I'll just jump in, I'm guessing it was right around COVID, because I think I remember talking to the owners, and they were going a little stir crazy.
It looked in pretty good shape to me.
They decided, well, we power washed.
Oh, that's why it looks so good.
I wish it, yeah, but I think it was around COVID. The previous owners moved in 2009 or 7, and then, and I think she said around COVID, because then she was a teacher and she was home a lot, but can't quote on that.
I have a follow-up on Commissioner Temple's question. So that platform, you would remove it and put the shed right on the concrete, the slab there, is that correct?
No, we put it on the wood.
We put it up?
Yeah.
Yeah, we put it.
And that's about, I don't know, I was out there, 19, 20 inches, maybe 2 feet,
How high
high from the floor, no, because.
What do you
know,
think
like
it
I'm
is,
old,
off
I
the
can
ground?
hold- I can make the step to reach.
It was at least a foot, I know it was at least a
Yeah,
foot, I
it's-
sat on it,
it's-
that's where I drew
it's-
these notes.
It's about a foot, yes.
About a
yes,
foot,
yes,
okay.
It's about a foot, yes.
I have a question for you, if you'd like to come forward, because I drew a map and I wanted to ask you.
You wanna go
something.
come over?
Absolutely, if you'd like. Okay, and thank you very much for allowing me to go out there again.
Sorry I missed you the first call.
That's okay. All right, you kind of addressed it before, and it might be easier, can I look at your house on Google Earth? You kind of addressed it, but right when you pull in the driveway, okay, because I'm looking at your house, and you're pulling into the driveway, you know, I went directly over there, and that's what I looked at first, where you wanted to ask for the variance. But literally, when you drive up the driveway, there's, at least to me, there's enough room for that shed right there. I mean, literally right there, so that is on the, where's my north, south, east, west? Is that the northern side of the property over there?
Yes.
Did you call it the northern side?
Yes.
So, I just showed it to you on the Google, but if you looked at the map, don't worry about that. So you come literally straight up your driveway, right?
Yes.
What about, why not put the shed right there? I know the septic fields are out.
Okay,
you know,
it's gonna
you can
say,
use this
so
if you'd like.
I have another draw, I have
You gotta go
another.
around, just go around. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
just go
We
around.
wait.
Okay.
No, we'll wait for you.
Go this
That
way.
way,
Yeah,
yes.
take your time, take your time.
I have one that shows the septic and everything, the footage and
Yeah,
everything.
do we have the septic as built in here? I don't know.
I have it right here.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you. Sorry, looking at what's in the plan. Oh, yeah, I saw it.
With the top on, you know, where these barrels go down like computers, you know?
Alright, so, yeah, oh, okay, that's good, thank you. Alright, so when you're coming right up, where's the
This
house?
is where
at?
you see these right here. So this is the driveway up.
Okay, the driveway's coming up. Yeah, so
is the
this,
gap here you're talking about.
well, no, actually, isn't it, is it this gap?
No, so this is the house.
Okay, yeah,
This is
this
where
little
my
gap
parents,
right
yeah,
there.
so
Right
that
where
is
that
right
bush
here.
is.
So you have 31 feet into the two chambers,
Okay,
and then, you know, you have to be, we did
but
look.
what if the shed, okay, instead of long ways, right? Let's say the shed would turn a perpendicular like that, and let's, you know, you had the side doors, like if you're driving a tractor or whatever, they got the side doors that open up. What would be wrong with putting it literally right there?
Okay, so I'm gonna refer to this now so you
Okay.
can see it. So there's, like, right here, we have our propane.
I saw
Right
it, you got like
against-
3 tanks.
Right there,
Right,
and
okay.
they're gonna be putting pavers here. That's where they're gonna enter the pool area here. That's where they're gonna, people are gonna walk. And then you have to be 30 feet from the property line, which is here, so you can't tuck the shed up.
I mean, to get into the
Well,
pool
30
area.
feet, you gotta be from within code, so
Yeah,
30 feet here moves it down to
But it
here.
gets rid of the front yards, 3, 4A, 3B, it gets rid of
Well,
the front one.
what I'm trying, then there, I don't know if you noticed the fence, there's a fence here.
Yeah.
So we looked at this here, there's 30 feet to the first chamber,
Mhm.
and I did call the township as well to see, because I didn't know the code is to put a pool on, or sorry, a shed on top of chamber.
I don't know
And
about
talked-
right on top of it, we can,
I talked to the gentleman, who's the gentleman you recommended?
Paul Lavery.
Paul, he just said, you could put it on, there's nothing in there that you can't, it's just you're not allowed to anchor it down with any concrete or anything.
so let's say you had a gravel patch there, right? You did it all nice compacted gravel or whatever, and the shed, depending on how you got it, sometimes you do, 6x6 pressure tree or whatever, you could literally set it right there, because it's not anchored. Would that meet code, Mr. Lally? Let's say he was on the other side of the house, right, and the septic was over there, but he's not right on top of it, not even on top of where the tank is or anything.
It would be,
If it was on gravel,
it would start to creep in here because you gotta be, there's a walkway here that you need at least 8 feet to walk in the pool area, and then it's just 30 feet to the, gate
but the
lines.
shed could be a couple feet smaller, right? You don't have to have that size of
Correct.
shed. I mean, it's a possibility. And that was just my question, is it possible?
We was consider too, but
Okay.
you know, because we have the platform over there, we was try to put the two and two together.
Mm.
And the way you see, like you create a valley, so from the street, you only see the roof of the shed,
Yeah, I got you.
okay? Because it's among the dirt, you know?
And here's my next question. No, I thank you very
You know,
much.
I mean, like I know you spend a lot of time over here, so you'll throw from my driveway for a long time.
No, yeah, I was doing all this drawing. Okay, now my other question is the same side of the house that you wanna put it on, so that's kind of the south side of the house, right? North is over here, south is over here. So the south side that you wanna put it on, And where you have it laid out here, it's technically in the front of the house, and then you're closer to your right side setback and stuff. And I know you have the chicken coop right here. I'm not saying it's, something's easy to do, but is this a possibility? Let's say you took the chicken coop, right, and you moved it back. I wrote this question out because I actually measured the footage on here. Okay, why not why not move the chicken coop back, so to the north and to the east, about 14 feet, rotate the door to the house, you know, because you got the door right now, it's facing towards that platform, that's where you get in and out of the chicken coop. Rotate it that way, okay? Then you'd be able to push the new shed back 15 to 16 feet. You probably wouldn't need the front yard part, the 3, 4, A3B part of it, and it would be less, you can move it over a little bit too, and still need less of a variance on the right side here. That was just a question, so.
Yeah, no, and I'll answer.
I'm not saying it's easy.
Well,
But
it's
is it a
not easy,
possibility?
but it's not, also not feasible for what we have now, because where you saw between the fence and the chicken coop,
Yes.
that's where all the pool equipment's going.
Oh, okay.
All the,
Filters,
so
the
they're
pumps
building
and stuff
everything.
like
So
that.
There's gonna be steps up to the pool area.
And also,
Can you draw that in, so you're like you have, it's 2 double doors in your fence, right? I saw that?
Yes.
And they swung out, or whatever, they probably swung both ways. Where are you talking about, like right up over
It's
here,
actually
close to the house?
directly in front of the chicken coop, because
Oh,
we're
you're
putting
putting
a
it
walkway.
right between them.
We're putting a walkway to get down from the double doors.
Okay,
to
I didn't
access
know
the
that,
pool.
that's why I came up with
also,
that.
it's a drainage over there.
There's a drain there, there's a drain that, I guess when they built the property, there's piping and all water that's going along.
Okay, last question, all right, the shed here, yes, I know, this is the last question. Would it be possible to move this shed, if we did give you the variance here, a few feet towards the left, or that's gonna be towards the north of the property? Just a few feet, maybe 5 feet, and still have room to get in and out, I
The
understand you
long
need
limit
access.
is the platform, the long limit is.
It's
over
there,
with
it's
the
there,
platform.
right?
And we can extend like a couple feet outside the platform, so the platform is started to be 12 foot. If you wanted me to move another 3 feet over here, I can do it.
You just make the platform
Make
that,
it blow, a little long on the other side, if you give me the okay, we can do, we can also do that.
Okay.
We're very flexible on, different things.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so yes, we can do that. But I don't wanna knock all the platform because, like it's anchored all the way to the end. So the cut it then, you have to take everything up and you have to start all over again.
I totally understand.
So, but we
Thank
can
you.
do that, move a couple feet this way, 1 feet, 2 feet, whatever, yeah. We have a little room, to play with, I don't think more than 4, otherwise it'll be almost on top of the house, but I think we can do that.
How much room do you think you have?
From the house, you measured last time, right, from the house to,
I took a measurement, back of the chicken coop, that's 15 feet there. I just didn't do this one from the corner of the house. Is that what you're talking about, from the house to where the new
Well,
shed would be?
No, actually, I was asking, you said you have room to wiggle, how
So-
much can you?
how much we can put,
Yes.
yeah, we can do this for,
3 to 5 feet?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think 2 to
5 is too much, yeah, because, then, like,
2,
we have
3
that,
feet?
yeah, we have the hill come down, and it's all like big, stone, all day, so we cannot make, the best way to go over there. But we can move 3, maybe 5 foot, five is a lot, maybe 4.
I'm not,
Yeah.
anything would be very generous, I'm just saying.
Well, we're trying to find a way to.
I know, I
help you
understand.
guys
I
on
appreciate it.
And if there's any other place
I
that's,
understand.
within the setbacks, that would be helpful. But it sounds like based on this discussion, there's, based on the topography of the lands and the other attributes of the lands related to the pool and some of the other, things we discussed, that this may be the only general area. Is that true?
But we can put away,
On the left side of the house
on
as
the
you
left
come around
side,
there.
but. I
Might have to
think-
make the shed a hair
I
smaller,
think
maybe.
make the house come down like the way it look, because they're all beautiful home over there, and, like, and you put a
First thing you
shed
see when you
in
pull
the
up.
front, I don't think it's the right thing to do, leave a piece.
I
We
know.
can do that, but, it's, because when we do from the front of the house, you only see like a 4 foot high, just, you mostly see just the roof, because it's down.
He's right, there's a slope there.
Yeah,
goes-
it's very deep,
With
very
that
deep.
platform, you really
Yeah.
can't see, like the platform, I had to walk over to that side of the house and look down
You
and,
sit down
oh,
here.
there's the
Yeah,
platform.
that's the platform, yeah, really, it's high.
So if you had to guess with the height of the shed that was in there, okay, and the lay of the land,
I think it's say
How much?
closer to the peak, like that way it should be
10 feet to the peak, but how
10
much,
feet.
let's say you were driving up or you're walking up to the house,
yes.
I don't know, you're not gonna be able to see much of that. 5 feet, half of it maybe?
It'd be less of the coop,
Lower
the
the
roof.
roof, so you
You
don't
know
see
the
the
coop, you see,
Yeah.
we have it'd be a little low,
Yeah, the coop is tucked in there, you
Yeah.
can't really.
You can really, yeah, nobody.
You had that coop, when I walked out for the pool, I never noticed it, that's how tucked in it is,
It's-
and I'm pretty stickler,
and
I didn't
se-
walk on that side.
And pretty much should be a little bit up front, like, I don't wanna say you don't see from the street, yes, you see, without honesty, but you don't see like boom, in front of you,
Can I just make one more comment?
Yes.
So you asked the question, how many feet I have. Well, we're trying to make a walkway there, so, 6 to 8 feet for people, because we wanna have people for the pool access. So like my father said, we requested 15 feet as opposed to 30. If it's 2 or 3, 4 more feet, that we have to move it towards the house, I think we could do it. And then also on your hardship, be 100% honest, lumber and everything's expensive too. So if we can utilize something that is just left there, so, I mean, I'm stating the obvious, but it's a reality.
Yeah.
We use the two.
Yeah, it's better for the earth as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
But
Yeah, so thank you.
unfortunately, not a lot of room we have to consider things, and, we've been challenged on other things before.
We appreciate your time, so if there's any other questions?
Thank you, Mr. Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. Anybody, any other? Okay. Do we have any correspondence? We already read that out, so that's all set, that's good.
Yeah.
Just making sure there's nothing last minute. All right. Yeah, okay. All right, is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of this application?
Of course I'm in favor.
State your name and address for the record, so
Sorry.
we know you're in favor. Mr. Tyson.
My neighbor to my left also said he mailed in, because he sent a picture of it. I
Do
don't
you,
know if
do you know
got
his name?
Yes, Naresh Talwar. He
You
took a
ever seen
picture
that?
and he actually mailed it. He said, can't make the meeting, good luck, and he mailed, but, I have a text, but I just was wondering if you guys received it. That's all.
No, sir.
So I'm sorry,
That's
and I
okay.
am in favor for it.
All right, one more time, I'm gonna ask, is there anybody here that would like to speak in favor of this application? Is there anybody here that would like to speak in opposition to this application? Hearing none. Mr. Testa, do you have any final closing remarks, sir?
No, like I said, I appreciate everyone's time, and, thank you for allowing me to hear your case.
Thank you very much. Okay.
I'll make a motion to close the public hearing portion of this application.
Thank you, do I have a second? All those in favor of closing the public hearing, say aye. Aye. Okay. Deliberations, do we need a break? Okay. Okay, let's go into deliberations on our first hearing, that is Z-23-11, St. Joseph's Church, 5 Obtuse Hill Road. Yeah, I'll take a motion to approve the application as submitted.
So moved.
Okay. All right, let's do discussion. Do we need a second on that?
Second for
Yeah,
discussion.
okay. Can I have a second, please? Sorry.
Approved for discussion.
Okay. Thank you. Discussion.
I would like some time to think more about this.
I would
Is that
too.
possible?
How does everybody feel?
I guess I'm just curious what you are.
We're thinking about?
What you need more time to think about. I mean,
I
thought,
think
I
I
thought a lot
understand
about
it.
it too.
No,
I'm
I've,
not
I've
sure
thought about
what-
a lot about
I'm
this.
not sure what more I'm going to learn in giving it an extra week, month, however long to think about it that hasn't already been.
Oh, I don't have a problem sharing with exactly how I feel about it. I've listened to everything, I listened really, really well to it, all parts of it. It does seem, at least for the most part to me, that it's of a financial hardship, which we absolutely want, we cannot grant a variance based on a financial hardship. Just can't do it. Also, the other part of it does seem like it's, to me, like we would be legislating, basically doing the zoning commission's job and saying, okay, here's this section of Brookfield, we're gonna make a special zone out of that. And there's a precedence, I know there was arguments that there is no precedence for it, but that does set a precedence if we do that. Plus, the legal precedents that I looked up and I researched, I don't mind thinking more about it, but those are humongous things that are on my mind and how I'm feeling exactly right now, but we'll listen.
The question in my mind is how narrowly we can tailor.
That was one of the
A
things I was thinking about, if there was any possibility whatsoever, can it be something that it was very, very narrow in scope, and I don't know, I don't see any way that there is.
Yeah, I don't,
I don't know until I think about it more or look into it, how narrowly we can tailor a variance.
if I may, personally, I don't think I can get around the lack of hardship regardless, even if we could narrowly tailor it to say it only matters for this particular lease. That still, I don't think, would meet the hardship requirements, which are that it's financial and that they said it would, I mean, notably so disappoint plenty of people. It's a cultural hardship, but that's not,
It's very
I don't see that as a.
Very compelling, it's very difficult.
I feel for it, but it's not, I mean, I feel like any applicant will be, for any application could say, well, it will upset me if I don't get my variance approved. I don't think that's enough of a hardship to say this is, it's not a unique hardship to this situation. Being upset about even a cultural landmark being shut down is not, being upset isn't unique to a hardship is what I'm getting at. And I don't think there's any narrowness that we can reach that'll overcome the lack of a hardship that's presented.
I agree with you.
I think that there's, not to speak for the zoning commission, but I think there's a case that could be made for having them.
Absolutely.
It's their position to change regulation if they want to, if they want to legislate or allow special permits for niche cases, I think that's on them, but it shouldn't be.
Or put in a regulation change to allow that type of
dance
special.
academies or whatever else, but I don't think it's our place to legislate that for them.
I agree. How do you?
About the other one.
I kind of agree with Carl. I'm really perplexed about this. My heart is with them. You know, my heart is with them, but I know I can't go with the emotional part. It's gotta go by the regulations and
The law.
and the law. And like what I thought of was what was said about the traffic. I had that in my mind too, because if it's going at 9 o'clock and children are not, they're a little bit older than 12.
Maybe there's 15 more cars there or
Yeah, I mean,
something.
it could be police that might be needed at times. I'm not saying that, but like right away, you know, I don't know. I'm really, I think we do need time to review this.
How do you feel, Reggie?
For the most part, I agree with what the rest of the board has said. I think I'm a little bit leaning more towards being in favor of granting it based on the other circumstances that are involved here as far as what and who is allowed in that area. So I'm not as worried. I'm very much swayed by what Mr. Checo said, about how it's not really an issue of precedence, and, cause you would have to hit, 5 or 6 different, I guess, stages, essentially, to say, well, I want to take my, whatever, I wanna take my spot and I would like to make it, something from, something so I can make money from it, or have a business coming or something like that. I think that the Dance Academy is very close and along the lines of educational as well. It's
I
not
did agree with
school-
that
It's
earlier.
not school, K through 12, but I think it is educational, in nature as well, so I think that also put me a little bit more at ease. I do still have the same issues that you guys brought up as far as being able to really nail down hardship.
That's what I was just gonna ask, if you didn't mind me.
Yeah,
What would
I
you
still-
think that the hardship is?
I still think that the hardship, overall, for me, having an abandoned building, I think could necessarily be a hardship. We're about to have another abandoned building across the street probably. So I think, having a blight on the town could be a hardship. I mean, again, I'm
But it's not
reaching a
listed.
little bit there, right, yeah,
It's not
I'm
listed.
definitely reaching a little bit there.
Yeah.
Do we know of it, well, I don't know of any precedents that says, abandoned building, it makes sense to me, actually, as the hard, cause it relates to the land.
It's a town hardship, though, it's not an applicant hardship per se. Now, I don't know if that's,
Well, it's
Well,
still, it's still on their
that's-
land, so they're technically responsible for it.
I can have
I understand. But as it sits now, what hardship do you see? That's, I didn't
Yeah,
wanna
I
push
mean,
you, I
and-
can-
no,
what exactly do you think?
I mean, as of right now, I would say that the hardship that I would essentially be leaning on is that if this is denied, that then becomes, close to or nearly impossible for the parish to, maintain the building.
In the
So-
short term, but they do have, there is the opportunity that we verified today, that they could go in and something could possibly be done quickly, I don't know how quick, but they could go in and apply for a regulation or a code change on the special exemptions and bring it up in front of zoning. It's a possibility.
Yeah,
Don't know
that's a
how quick it-
possibility, but based on, the smartest people in town, they said it should come to ZBA. So while that's possible, I don't necessarily just wanna say, okay, I'm not really sure, so let's have them decide, you know what I mean?
I
This is
understand.
my personal opinion.
Go ahead.
I wanted to weigh in on thinking about the issue of blight or an abandoned property. I'm not sure, that still sounds like a financial hardship. Otherwise, again, you could have a resident come and say, well, I can't afford, my mortgage and the bank is gonna foreclose on my house unless I turn it into a convenience store.
Right, and I
It's-
can't keep the
or-
upkeep on the
I
house.
can't keep the upkeep and the house is gonna be abandoned. Well, that's still not a valid reason. That's still financial in nature if you're saying,
Right, and
either I'm abandoning the property or let me start treat it as commercial. It's-
Right, and I would, go back with that, we're talking about a nonprofit, so it's not just, this isn't a residential or a private citizen or something like that. It's not for profit, and it's not only not for profit, but it's for education. So, I mean, again, like Mr. Checo was saying, there's a lot of boxes you have to check in order to say, well, since you guys approved the variance here, you should give me a variance too. Now, like some other people said, there are other churches, there are other schools, and I think the young lady said, almost every church in Brookfield has some kind of separate land that they can use and they can apply for, essentially.
If you don't
I
want
just
me to
think
jump
it's
in
very
there.
different. Yeah.
But it's a commercial use in a residential zone, and then it's based upon I don't like to say hearsay, because they came up in front of us and told us, but we don't have any evidence in front of us that says, okay, the Dance Academy's gonna be here for 10, 20 years, whatever it is, and then what happens after that? Because like you pointed out last meeting we had, it stays with the land forever.
Right, which is why I asked, is this property, something that
stipulate?
they would be selling.
Well, that's on the sale of it, I'm talking about the use of it now, then the use may change. If we say
But it's still only zoned for educational, right?
it's commercial,
Well,
No.
commercial.
it's commercial.
residential.
Zoned as
The
residential.
building,
Right.
I thought the building
They want
The
to change.
building code is for educational, but there's nothing saying they couldn't knock down the building and put in something else, and now we.
Or have a different commercial use.
Right?
I don't know, we would have to stipulate that it's,
Yeah.
I don't know how we could stipulate
Can we
that. It's only
stipulate?
for the dance studios or for dance instruction. It's difficult.
Mr. Chairman, can I share an opinion, or
Yes.
is that allowed?
Oh, wait, are you,
Well,
are you
actually,
seated?
Well,
You're not
no.
seated,
Actually,
you
no.
can't,
I
you're not
can't
seated.
share.
yeah,
Yeah, the public hearing's closed.
Okay,
we-
okay,
Okay,
okay.
it's okay. Yes, Carl.
Oh,
All right, I'm gonna go
But
back to
can
my,
we stipulate something, like, can we?
I
what
don't-
the variance stays,
the variance stays for land forever, so once we, you have to read exactly what they're asking us for. Okay?
the building,
take our time.
the,
So proposed activity, partial occupancy, lower level gym rented for a private dance school.
yeah, the gym.
No, I'm not-
Can we stipulate and just say the gym and the area, the
No,
amount?
the gym
It's
is
on the
upstairs
gym.
on the main floor.
Yeah, the gym is.
It's not the gym, it's the lower level. You remember when I
Oh,
said
right,
everything
okay.
that's yellow? Basically, everything that's yellow downstairs, approximately 4,200 square feet. That's what would be, and that's what would be the dance studio downstairs there. This is very difficult.
It is difficult.
I mean, I'm okay, based on what I've seen, to vote on it today, but if, going back to the first question I had, if anybody feels that maybe we can only really get information from land use or from opinion from the attorney from here forward, that's why I took my time before closing the hearing on this. If anybody would like to continue our part of it to the next one to seek some type of information, otherwise I have enough information right now.
are you saying that we can seek an opinion from land use right now?
As far as I know, and I don't wanna ask her, but that's what had gone over before, when we're at the, because we're in closed deliberations right now. We could table this decision if we wanted to next meeting and seek an
Yeah.
opinion from the town attorney or land use.
We have members of land use here, if we can seek opinion now.
But we're in closed deliberations, so I don't know, well, we kinda got our opinion,
We can.
can we? Alright, I'm gonna make an exception, are we allowed to do that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I'm your staff, you pay me to be here.
You are recognized, ma'am, go ahead.
I wanted to know if you had any, idea about these, the hardships regarding abandoned property or blight, if there's any precedent you know of, if
I'm
this is
afraid I
actually
don't
worked
know,
out?
I don't know.
Or if that might be something we ask the town attorney, because that's, the hardship is
The
the
hardship.
sticking point for me, and if we can ask the attorney about a hardship regarding blight or abandoned buildings or anything like that, I'd be interested to hear if there's any precedents, because that's not something I'd considered until Elijah brought it up.
I did not consider it at all until Elijah brought it up.
Bearing
I
that,
don't know.
it
That
does
was a
sound to me
really
like
good-
it's just
It's
financial, and I don't
financial
think there's any
based.
stipulation that I could comfortably.
I know,
agree
same
on.
thing with me,
I know,
that's
Uh,
how I'm feeling.
yeah.
Alright, yes, ma'am, you are recognized.
Thank you. I would just reiterate what the statutes do say about the finding of hardship. And it's something that's not created by the applicant, and it's not, purely financial, basically. It's something created by the land or, it's-
Uniqueness.
Yeah,
The
the unique situation of the land, and the,
And the
including the
application.
buildings and the property, yeah. So if you focus on that, I think whether you have precedence or not, I think you'll be able to come to a reasonable decision.
Right,
And
that's why I
Yeah,
have
okay.
trouble with it,
I'm-
because I don't,
I don't wanna drag it out, but,
I mean, I'm comfortable voting on it now, but I'm willing to, if somebody needs to continue it until the next meeting, I'm willing to do that too, but I'm comfortable now, if anybody else is comfortable. You're
Okay.
comfortable? You're comfortable? Madam Secretary? Comfortable?
I guess I'm comfortable.
Yes, I'm comfortable. Okay. All those in favor of approving Z-23-11 St. Joseph's Church application, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed, say nay.
Nay.
Nay. The application fails, one approved, and four, or three, yeah, four nays. Thank you, you can count that. Thank you very much. Okay, on to. All right, I'll take a motion to approve.
Motion to approve Z-23-18, 7 Apple by Farm Road, as submitted.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, all right, discussion. 7 Appleby Farm, I have some discussion, who wants to go first?
Sounds like they have a couple of feet to work with, and I would be interested in.
Yeah, they definitely have a couple
further
feet.
compliance at the very least.
Yeah, you want me to tell everybody my thoughts on it, what I thought was possible before answering? You guys can go first, though, go ahead.
Do we have a
I'll
choice?
be quick.
I mean, there are, hardships presented by the land, unlike some of the other cases we've seen, and, so I think considering the variance is appropriate.
And the hardships you see are the unique shape of property, the septic system on the other side.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, I agree.
you agree? I think I agree with you. Here's what I'm thinking now. At first I thought that they could put it somewhere on the north side of the property, which seems tough because they need access to the pool. I forgot about the pool that they have going in the back there. Even if they put it on gravel and the septic is out to the left or more to the north side, it's just difficult because they gotta be able to get back there. I thought that they could move the chicken coop, which that one is impossible now because we got a slab there. However, he did say that he could move it over, at least to bring it a little bit more in conformity on the right side line. I believe he said 2, 3, 5 feet, something like that. So
Right.
I'm okay. Go ahead.
However, impractical and expensive, you know.
Mr. Chairman, I think reuse, recycle, it's good for the environment.
It's already
But it
there.
runs
There's
David.
an
the land.
existing structure, why
Yeah, but it
not?
runs with the land there forever, so whatever he puts there, even if you sold the house, it's gonna be,
I know.
that's what I was thinking.
But
And it's
who's
not hard to add a
gonna
little
want a
concrete.
shed?
What's that?
Who's not gonna want a shed if he sells the house?
You don't ever know.
And the
I would
neighbors are
love a
not,
shed. I
there
would
seems to
play
be
in it.
enough wood in there, the neighbors are not worried about, they're comfortable.
I'm
So
okay.
I'm actually, I was gonna suggest, my thing is to reuse, recycle, use the same space.
I'm okay with it using the same space, but trim it at 5 feet, because I know, I've been out there and I looked at it, and it's not hard to add a little bit of concrete on it. It's literally, they would just pour it, match it over, give it a slab, and then put it there. And it would bring it a little bit more in conformity. So the right side structure, instead of asking for 15 feet, I would propose granting 10, because I think it's doable. I don't think you can do much on the front yard. But I'd also like to have, because you can see it when you drive, even though it's high right there, right? Because it's on the right-hand side of the house and there's a downward slope. I'd like to have some kind of shrubbery or something on the front side of the house. 4 or 5 little bushes or so. But I think it's trimmable instead of 10 feet, or 15 feet on the right side line. I think 10 is okay. But I'd like to have just a little bit of shrubbery. I'm not a shrubbery expert, wish Larry was here for that. But, something evergreen, 4 or 5, basically.
But it sounds like you can't see it from the,
And you'll be able to see the top part of it. The lay of the land, this does go, like when you're coming up the driveway, this is all level, and then right here, right about here, it goes downhill. Maybe if I was down at the bottom and I'm 6'1", you wouldn't be able to see my head, but you're gonna see the other 4 feet, or I didn't measure that height between the elevation on there, but you're gonna see it. If you don't think it needs the shrubbery, I'm okay with that too, but I think it can be trimmed from the 15 to the 10.
So if you do that, would some part of this existing structure would have to be taken out?
Yeah, that's what I'm, yeah.
Yeah.
Why
Which
can't
would
they
be a
just?
waste of,
I don't
which
know
would
the
be,
exact size of that. No, they would just move it. They would literally just move it, it's bolted. Remember you said it was bolted to
It's
it?
got concrete under it, right?
Yeah, but it's not, that's not fitted into the concrete, it's like bolted into the concrete.
I don't
So
understand.
that
The
is,
concrete would stay there.
concrete would stay there, you might add, so let's say that's it right there,
But
right?
that would look ugly, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, I would
Why
think
you-
there would be, there would be some piece of
Yeah.
concrete and then there would be a shed.
Aesthetics would look, that would
know,
look terrible.
But it's buried on the right-hand side of the yard there, nobody's gonna see it, and that neighbor, at least for now, nobody's gonna see that there.
The
You're
neighbor-
talking about a 5-foot sliver of concrete, is that what you're talking about? Because he's
What's
moving it?
left of this structure. So
Just
Let's
putting
say
it
you
on?
could put the shed right there.
yeah, so this structure's
Use
already
it.
there, it's in place,
Yeah.
right? Using the structure, you build a shed, you've used something, you've built it. But if you use only partially the structure, then we've left the partial structure there, that looks ugly too. And plus, you know, you're now
Well, you
putting
could
more
use-
material.
Even if there is something left out, they could use it for an equipment or something that they're, I mean, it could be.
Well, the shed's gonna go right there, I just thought it could come over a little bit, but I'm okay as
I
it
mean,
is, you've
that's
convinced me.
costing a lot of money.
Okay, is there any other discussion on it? Is there any other discussion? Okay, you wanna make them, we already read that?
Vote.
I'm ready, everybody's ready to vote, right? I'm good with it,
Yeah.
okay. All those in favor, we already made the motion, we already did a second, right? All those in favor of approving Z-23-18, say aye. Aye. It's unanimous.
5-0.
5-0.
5-0.
Congratulations,
Wow.
thank you very much.
That was a
Okay.
meeting of the minds.
Let's bust, when the buzz to rest, and we're, okay, moving on, review of section 5.1 yard setback, we still don't have to review anything on this. Earlier when I mentioned the other boards and commissions, if you guys did read, which you probably didn't, there are other minutes, the chairman, yeah, they talked about it, the chairman was out of town, who prior, asked for the secretary to write the letter to us, but he had become the acting chairman, so he didn't have time to do it. So we're still waiting on the letter.
Right,
Okay.
but he said he would get to it.
Yeah, they're gonna get to
Yeah.
it, they're gonna get it to us, that's B, discussion of, or excuse me, that's A. B, discussion of proposed general assembly raise bill. Janet, which I think she did a wonderful job, and I had no part in it at all.
That's your
Oh.
selling point?
Yeah, it's not long-winded, I swear, did I touch anything?
Well, I did revise it pursuant to the director, but it was just deleting where the email, who the email was sent to.
Oh, yeah, who the
And
emails were sent.
It was nothing, but.
But the body of it, I swear, I didn't touch it. This is all Janet.
Now, the thing is, if I may, commissioners.
Yes.
Would you all want to sign that letter? That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, if everybody's comfortable, if they're not
Well,
comfortable,
no, I
it's.
think that was the discussion before, and
I think
it
that's right.
was that they felt, well, I don't know, I think it was Chairman Temple who said, Lisa said that she wasn't in favor of it. So, my question is, do we send it individually, which I think the minutes have said that, or, do we send it
Where's-
assign, like, whoever wants their name on it, and, you know, that's up to you.
Here was my thinking, Madam Secretary. I thought, at least I thought after talking and discussing this stuff, and I heard everything that you said on that and stuff, that I thought if it was fairly generic, at least we all had the same thinking in mind, it just didn't, it basically sounded like, okay, if this bill did come by and it passed, it was a roundabout way to get around zoning and bring everything they wanted, but they couldn't get through zoning to the ZBA and that, and at first, everybody, other than, I remember, and I reviewed the video on it, certain certain lawyers and stuff like that said, oh yeah, we did kinda like that, but a lot also said they didn't. So anyways, me trying to have as many people as possible interested in it,
Right.
I prefer everybody to be on it, but if we're not, that's okay too. I don't have a problem.
At first, I just wasn't, informed, when I said I wasn't comfortable, backing it, but now I've thought more about it, and I am more comfortable with the position. I'll just say that. I mean, this is persuasive in that we're all behind it, but at the same time, it doesn't have substance to argue for our position, but I don't know if that, I don't know if we should spend the time doing that, because I know how this committee works, but
If I get involved, it'll take forever.
Yeah.
But if it's you and, go ahead.
no.
Well, I would,
Lisa, wait, excuse me, I'm sorry, what did you mean by that doesn't have substance?
No, it just says like we're not in favor of it.
Right, and that's all we wanna do.
well,
We
she
don't
said
say why.
Yeah.
it'd be more persuasive if we had reasons, but I also,
I
Thing.
realized that,
I
but I
think so.
took it
Yeah.
out, because we didn't really, I mean,
But that was kinda was one thing that
You
I
said,
spoke about a little bit with
exactly.
the secretary. I said, hey, why don't we at least point to, Mr. Pickering's, very persuasive
yeah.
email letter that he wrote in front of him. I pretty much agree with everything that he said there. At least we can point to that
We're-
Yeah, but
we're-
the thing
maybe
is,
he's a better, you
I-
remember Mr.
the-
Pickering's letter?
my-
Go ahead, Paul.
if I can, my thinking on it is that this is not for the, public discussion portion of the bill. This is something we are sending to, the town representatives, in Hartford, and I think it is more on them to persuade their constituents as to why, or not the constituents,
I
their,
think so.
it's
So
their job to give the
Senator Harding
persuasion. I
would
don't
get
think
it and-
he's I cannot imagine personally, Harding or Foncello standing there and reading the contents of
Mr.
100 letters
Pickering's like, yeah,
they
forget it.
received.
He's gonna say,
believe he's
my
going to
zoning
say,
board of appeals.
I have
He's gonna
letters
say,
from
"I nay."
10
Yeah,
zoning board of
exactly.
appeals
Okay.
who dislike it. I don't,
Yeah.
and here is why I dislike it.
No, you're right.
I don't
I
think
can't
he's
see
going
them
to
sitting and reading all that.
read the contents of all. I could be wrong.
That's fair.
I could be wrong,
It just
but I
it
think
just puts a little thumb on the scale there.
that's fair.
We didn't even read all our emails today.
Well,
Fair
the
enough.
thing is,
I like it the way it is. I'd like to send it, or if you'd like
That's
to
fine.
spend a little time with
No,
Jamie.
no, I
tweaking.
know. I
And
just
then-
wanted to see how you guys felt about it.
And then, like Lisa said, the bill might honestly be brought up to vote before we can all agree on the letter.
I
We
know,
like
it's
You know,
not.
considering what we went through tonight, with St. Joseph, I mean, this bill,
Right,
right?
Yeah.
Am I right, Lisa?
yeah.
It's going to be
We're not
detrimental for us, if this bill is passed. And, we have to, as constituents, we have to let them know. Now, they know, I named it, I mean, my God, a raised bill number 915,
they know what it's
LCO 3027. We gotta let them know that we don't like it. You know, we oppose to this.
May I ask?
And I'm sorry.
No, go ahead,
No,
finish.
no,
I'm sorry, I cut you
No,
off.
I'm bloviating, go
That's
ahead.
all right. I was gonna ask, Mr. Hewling how he felt. Is he comfortable
Yeah,
with
he-
having your
he's
name on it?
quiet.
It's up to you, sir.
As it's written.
You like it, how it's written? See, I didn't mess with it. This way
But I
people
did
like it.
can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
discuss this with Rochelle?
What,
Can
right now?
can I ask her a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. I did discuss it with Rochelle, and she gave me her, input, and I did take out, the email that was, sent to her directly.
Yeah, we don't have
Okay.
that in there.
So,
She
it
didn't want that in
reads,
there.
we thank Attorney Pickering of westcog.org for his email dated January 30th, 2023, outlining the bill's content to which we strongly oppose. And I just took out Rochelle, Cause she didn't, you know, she felt that that was her job to do something like
Unless she's
that.
changing her name and she, changing her mind and she wants to.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman, no, I mean,
You're
it
recognized.
seems superfluous to like mention my, like, I had nothing to do with anything except like
Yeah,
I
it's
sent,
just
I
us.
forwarded the email
Well,
to you.
no, well,
Right.
So I mean, I
yeah, but
just,
we wouldn't know that, Rochelle, like if you,
yeah, but you know.
if you weren't there,
Yeah.
okay, and
Right.
it was,
Yeah, I don't
it
need
was
credit.
given
I
to
feel no.
that's fine,
All
that's
right,
fine.
the last thing I like, so, everybody likes it, doesn't mind having their name on it. I will, sometime ask, Dick or Richard and Larry, and whether they
Yes.
say yes or no, that's okay too.
Right.
As soon as I find out the answer
Yeah.
to that, I will have the secretary
And
send
I
it.
will,
How's
I
that
will
sound?
forward it on. I think that,
We don't need to vote
I
on that,
try
right?
to look
We
up,
just say it.
like,
Yeah.
all of these
Okay, so I don't
people.
know.
Yeah,
I mean, what a learning, it's such an education. I mean, you've got all these bills in
Lisa's
one
gonna vote on the
area,
next one.
and they all take a little bit of this, and no wonder our government is screwed
I
up.
know, but what's
You know,
that?
everybody gets a piece,
You ready?
everybody gets a piece of the pie.
All right, ready? I'm gonna move on. with this.
Yes, please,
Okay.
let's move on.
Last one, C, additional commissioner training / discussion, Chairman Donnelly, I brought it up, there's 2 cases in Morikawa, zoning board of appeals, town of Weston, Jaser, zoning board of appeals. I thought that it would be good to have this, and it was found to by Commissioner Temple. So, if everybody could, read about it, and then if we have a little time next reading, we'll discuss it.
Now, what is this, wait.
It's 2 cases, just 2
Okay,
cases
yes,
for
yes,
ZBAs.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, is that okay?
Okay, that's fine, yeah.
All right, Carl, would you like to make your,
Sure.
do you have anything
I'm
else?
sorry, do we all have a copy? I mean, you must have
I
forwarded it
have a
to.
copy
What,
of it.
Of this, was case law?
Morikawa and the other one?
These are decisions from the court?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
great, all right, great, I'm just curious myself, thank you.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
have them. Actually, I could probably give you this one because I already got it in my book. Would you like it?
I would, thank you,
Hold on, more additional training. You can have it.
thank you.
yeah, it says past case in the
Does
bottom.
anybody have, any discussion, anything else that they'd like?
I just have one quick question.
Yes, sir.
For Ms. Hadza. So, when we were in, closed session before, if, since I'm an alternate, if,
It's not,
huh?
yeah, I know the answer on this one, go ahead, bring it
Oh,
up.
okay. So if as an alternate, I'm not voting on a particular case, because we have 5 members, once we enter closed session, am I allowed to say anything or no?
No, you
Okay.
can't even ask questions, you
Right.
can't comment or ask questions, but during the public hearing, of course, you can freely, so try
But
to.
once we're in
think of-
closed session, it's
Correct.
only the voting
Only
members?
those people who are seated, who can
Oh.
vote, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And I only know that from one time I was late.
Oh, yeah, I remember
That's
that.
how I found that out. Oh, wow, I can't do it.
Carl, would you like to make your favorite motion?
Yeah, motion to close.
Do I have a
Second.
second? All those in favor to adjourn?
Hi.
Aye. We are
Who
adjourned.
seconded that, was that Mahid? No, who?
No,
Lisa?
I think
Lisa?
Lisa seconded.
I'm usually the first one.
Oh.
Oh,